first day of broadcast, Tuesday, March 28th. I am Sir Buttkick Kangas filling in for Dreamer today. Along with me, Fen. This is the second week in a row we've got the cast together.
Yeah, it's just like old times from Split 1. I'm very excited for this.
And I also am on the schedule for Thursday, so this is my third day in a row, or third cast in a row. Going for 4. I gotta set my own records. Get me on the stat list.
Hey, could be going for like some Cinco de Castro thing.
True. But again, this Tuesday cast, we have St. Cloud against McAllister for our first game of the evening. After then, we got St. Olaf against College of St. Scholastica Fighting Saints. But that team is playing 2 in a row because right after that, they got to go again against Winona. And then final game of the evening, UMDU Ram Ranch against McAllister for McAllister's second game of the evening. So 2 teams get a double-decker for the evening.
Yeah, and right now we have it where this first game, St. Cloud versus McAllister, St. Cloud is really going to have to pull through in this one in order to make sure that they can get in one of those playoff seeds. They have to win, otherwise they're just going to be one step closer to not cinching the playoffs.
Yeah, and we have right now on our graphic, it might be a little hard to understand, but the blue on the top means that those 2 teams, Mavericks and Ganked by Gophers, have secured their playoff spot. So there's no way for them to lose that position. Everybody in the yellow is currently the next top 6 that would make it to playoffs, pending losses and changes to those standings. The people in the red are the ones that are not in playoffs right now, but they still have a chance. So as you see, Gustavus there in last place at 1-8, but they still have a chance to get into that playoff spot depending on what happens with McAllister in this game. If McAllister is able to win this, it's going to mean that Gustavus is out of playoffs. But keep in mind, again, St. Cloud, they really want to get this win as well.
Yeah, and we'll just be getting into the game in a few moments. We're waiting on the last member of St. Cloud. Oh, no, wait, he's in here. He just needs to go over. And yeah, I didn't notice that. So, but either way, what do you think is going to be coming from this pick ban phase so far? I feel like last week we saw a bit of priority over Graves and Lulu, and that may be a similar pattern that we see around this time.
And is definitely the most popular jungler right now, Graves. Actually, though, he is tied with Kha'Zix in terms of pick ban percentages. Graves has been picked more, but Kha'Zix has been banned more. So that's where we're seeing the discrepancy there. But McAllister, known for playing that Kha'Zix pick, so I'm expecting to see that banned against them. Keep in mind, Graves has also been banned against him a couple times. So again, I totally agree with that. Whereas on the side of St. Cloud, looking at that mid lane, Orianna being highly prioritized for them. Spring's showing up huge on that champion.
Yeah, Orianna is overall a very powerful mid laner just because of the fact that you can easily control the wave early on using command attack and dissonance. And any other point in the game, really, the longer it goes on, the more damage you'll be doing to all types of objectives, just because Orianna also has that consistent auto attack damage due to her passive. So she's kind of this like safe pick that's also a lake in insurance, kind of like what the idea of an ADC would be before the mid lane. And
yeah, but a second mid laner that's oftentimes banned against him being LeBlanc, Springs 24, typically the one that they try to focus out when teams are playing against St. Cloud. So I'm expecting to see a lot of that going on.
Yeah, LeBlanc is also incredibly powerful, and Springs 24 has shown up on her, well, I believe only twice so far this split, but it was enough of a showing to really put fear into the other players. So I wouldn't be surprised, but as you mentioned before, right now 2 other really high priority bans are that Graves and Kha'Zix. So we may see some bans being put more onto Burgay just because St. Cloud is now on the blue side. So you have to remember, they get first pick, and they could easily leave one of those power picks up to make sure they can get it right away.
Definitely agree with that, but we're getting close to getting into this pick and ban phase. I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Envade Gaming. Thank you for helping host this tournament with us. Go check out their website, see all their gaming apparel. It's pretty neat. I got a t-shirt from them.
Yeah, don't forget, if you use the sponsorship code that we have shown on the stream, you will get a discount on any of your purchases.
And also make sure to follow at MNLCS on Twitter, on Facebook. Follow me for all your casting updates at MN Sir Buttkick. Fen as well. Fen casts. Am I correct in that? At Fen casts.
Yeah, apparently Fen was just taken on Twitter, so I had to do Fen and Cats.
You know what? That was my plan all along. I was like, he changed his name. Let's take his Twitter handle.
What, you're gonna steal my name?
Oh, everybody's already following it. Don't worry. I'm just tweeting
I don't
out
have that many
gibberish.
followers. I only got 50.
No, I'm saying they're
Jeez.
following my Twitter account that is Fen.
Ah, okay.
Just playful banter.
Either way, it
Playful
looks like
banter,
we'll actually be getting into Champion Select in just a moment. Everyone is showing the R's. So we just need to have Real Jagdog go ahead and start this up, and we are going to Champion Select. What do you think is the first band that's going to be coming out?
I am not going to be surprised to see one of those target bans against McAllister. Again, we've seen Kazakhs played a lot. I think that they can leave it on the table for the first couple bans, maybe ban it out as their third pick. So I don't know what their first one's actually going to be. It is Zillion, something Formic Nightfall has played twice already.
Still pretty interesting the fact that they're going to be banning it out just because he's not exactly the most powerful support as well. Well, no, actually, that is right. Zillion has been seeing a slight rise in popularity within the mid lane role just because of changes and overall weakness being given to assassins and some of the more burst-heavy champions. Zillion is showing a rise in popularity because that was his main weakness, was being bursted down and then simply targeted during team fights. And we do see a Zac and a Kazakhstan as well.
There is that Kazakhstan. I actually misspoke. I was looking at the stats wrong. Use 80 carry as bait is actually the support that has played Zillion twice. So I'm actually a little confused why that was banned against the side of McAllister. But again, you were saying that it has seen a rise in popularity, so maybe that's why we're seeing it come out. Just because it's seen a lot more play in just individual players during solo queue, flex queue, things like that. But Fizz to answer Springs 24, which means the LeBlanc and Ori are both on the table for him still.
Yeah, not only that, Fizz has been seeing a lot of play within the top lane. Just because with that Triforce build using the Fervor of Battle, you'll be stacking up a ton of damage over time during a fight. And with the Playful Trickster, with your Shark, you will be able to just do a lot of damage, even though you are building more of a duelist type of build. And we also see the Graves ban come out, so that's both the priority junglers that we were mentioning earlier banned out.
This is very smart. I really like this. We were talking about how their blue side, they get first pick. They can choose what champion they want to play. Well, Springs 24 has so many champs he's comfortable on that are still up right now. Ban out Graves, because if you don't want to first pick Graves, at least first pick the Orianna or the LeBlanc, something that Springs 24 can play.
Both
but instead, actually, Caitlyn.
Oh. Okay, I could see this partially just because Caitlyn is an incredibly powerful ADC right now. The other ADCs in the current meta are mostly things like Lucian and Ezreal, and Caitlyn simply outranges and outlanes both of them to the extent where if you can utilize Caitlyn straights early on in the game, you basically deny their ADC any type of farm really early on. However, I'm not sure if Sean Nelson will be able to execute on this Caitlyn pick.
I mean, Sean Nelson has picked up a win on Caitlyn before. One of their only 2 wins. First one with Lucian, second with the Caitlyn. So they're hoping to recreate that from last week as a Lulu Ezreal is picked against it. This is what we were talking about. Caitlyn outranges the Ezreal, but Ezreal still has a lot of poke, especially with the Lulu shield. That's a very safe lane.
Yeah, there's a Lulu shield as well as Polymorph, which is the main reason why people have been picking up Lulu lately. She is just that anti-diver, anti-engage type of support that can essentially keep an ADC alive for a ridiculous amount of time. Otherwise, we see Birgit pick up Vi, a jungler that we haven't seen in quite some time. I believe the last time we saw Vi was back in week 5 or 6.
Yeah, it's been a good long while, except it wasn't week 6. It was actually, again, last week, St. Cloud. They played her against the pocket picks. And
no, that was week 7. That was week 7, not week 8, that St. Cloud played it.
St. Cloud, I believe you are correct. Yes, so that their victory against somebody. All right, I don't lost the stats. Anyway, it has been played, and actually, oddly enough, that comp was played with the Caitlyn. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do together.
It was when St. Cloud played against Mavericks. That's what it was.
All right. So, but what do we expect to see on the opposing side of McAllister? There is the Ziggs locked in for, I assume, mid lane.
Well,
for Springs 24.
since the ADC is already locked in, I highly doubt that's going to be a Zig spot unless it's Caitlyn mid. I mean, I guess that could also work, but
Zig
I'm imagining
support. I will never stop saying it can work.
no. I imagine right now No Suits is going to be picking up a mid laner for himself. Vladimir would be an excellent pick right here just because Zig is all about sieging and trying to poke out his lane opponent. Meanwhile, Vlad will just sustain and soak up all the damage that will be thrown out, and you can even abuse the fact that Ziggs is so magic damage heavy by building something such as Spear Visage, but it looks like maybe an Orianna and a Gragas locked in instead. So that's going to be a little bit more of an aggressive lane pick, but one that's far more carry-oriented than the Vladimir.
And a lot of initiation. Orianna ultimate, along with Gragas, that barrel is going to be really difficult for the side of St. Cloud to deal with if they can't get more tanks on their team. Burgo playing Vi isn't going to be quite tanky enough to be a front line in and of itself. I like the Alistair hover, actually. It gives them really good pick potential themselves, really good initiation with the Vi, but maybe it's a Teemo. Maybe everyone just says, yeah, screw you, Sir Butt Kick. You know nothing.
I mean, they're still hovering around. I do like that Nautilus lock in there. That could be both a support or a... Okay, that's going to be a top lane Nautilus if this Nami gets locked in, obviously. It's not going to be a top lane Nami.
All
we
right,
don't have Dyrus over here.
They choose to abandon the Alistair hover, instead saying, let's have our initiation be on the top side. So they have the Vi and the Nautilus as their front line. I like the pickup. They definitely needed another form of tank on their team. And Nami into the Lulu. It's actually a kind of similar lane in the sense of they can both kind of poke with damage, but they also have really good sustain. Lulu with the shields, Nami with the heal.
Yes, but in terms of comparing shields versus healing, shields is much greater during a fight just because the overall raw value of shields are generally higher, but heals are stronger in the long run just because you're giving health back. You're not simply protecting from potential damage. So in the overall laning phase, Nami should be able to keep this Caitlyn alive throughout, so all the poke offered by Formic Nightfall will basically be null and void. And as you mentioned, they're going to be having most of their engage tied to the real J-Dog on that Nautilus and Burge on Vi, which I really like both of those picks. You have Vi who can be diving in the back line, trying to get through the Lulu's damage, or even lock up the Lulu herself to force her to use the rampant or the wild growth on herself, or potentially just let herself die without being able to use it. And meanwhile, you'll be having Spring24, Real J-Dog, and Sean Nelson focusing everyone else.
Yeah, and looking at just the overall feel of each comp, it seems as if St. Cloud have a much better idea of what they want to do here. They have Ziggs and Caitlyn, which is going to make sieging incredibly easy for them. They can take turrets down very quickly, or they can even take them down slowly. They can play the long haul if they want to, just stand and wait for waves to come in, slowly poking down these turrets. And it's up for McAllister to kind of initiate, to jump in with the Orianna Gragas. But I think I kind of like the side of St. Cloud more and just what they were able to piece together. Although I always like to ask Fen, what is your opinion of the pick?
I like both sides. I like the idea. With these compositions, there is no way that I could really say one comp wins or loses from their picks and bans. But if I were to take a guess, this is more going to be going off of how I've seen the teams before in the past rather than simply the picks here, just because, like I said, it's basically impossible to try and make an accurate prediction off of the picks alone. And I'm going to honestly say McAllister just because of No Suits being shown to be incredibly powerful on those engaged type mid laners. And Hear Me Roar always having a great job of following up, at least in the early to mid game stages, which is exactly where the Gragas Orianna combination are going to shine. Meanwhile, as we've said before, Spring24 is much better on those carry type mid laners, Orianna, LeBlanc. And this one around, he has more someone who's safe and siege-oriented, such as Ziggs, so I'm not too sure how this will play out.
Yeah, either way, there's one thing that can be sure, and that is it will be an exciting match. Both these teams fighting to keep their places in the tournament, trying to get to that playoff spot. McAllister has to defend. They are last place of the teams that are currently in the top 8. So they are in that 8th spot. St. Cloud in 9th place right now. 2-5, but McAllister only 2-4. So keep in mind, there's only a 1-game differential between these teams. It's going to be a very close match.
Yeah, and if St. Cloud is able to win tonight with this game, they will be overtaken McAllister, putting them just barely into the playoff spot. So they really need to be trying to get this game in their own hands. And for the last minute, let's talk about exactly what each team would need to do in order to get that done. Now, with St. Cloud, as you mentioned before, they have an incredibly powerful siege composition. And I feel like trying to go for grouping early on would definitely benefit them. However, they still have the wave clear on the side of McAllister from the Oriana and the Gragas. So it won't be too easy until much later into the game. So I feel like going with more a delay type of game style will be much better, where they simply wave clear and try and prolong anything that McAllister does. Because McAllister, as mentioned before, has that mid-game composition that needs to be stopped before it can get ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree. St. Cloud needs to be prioritizing these dragons. If they can get at least one mountain drake, hopefully two, that's going to make the sieging much easier, especially if they're able to secure a Baron with those mountain drakes. That means that they'll be able to burst Baron down more once they get those empowered minions. The wave clear for McAllister is going to be much slower. So that's when we're really going to see that siege comp come in. So I expect to see St. Cloud prioritizing those map objectives very heavily this game. And if they don't, then they got to really figure out how to play their team comp to its best strength. But getting into this game, let's get hype. Let's get excited. Tweet at MNLCS or just in the Twitch chat while you're watching who you think is going to win the game. Hashtag St. Cloud or hashtag McAllister. On the side of St. Cloud, we have the real J-Dog in top lane. Burga jungle with Spriggs24 mid, Sean Nelson and Use 80 carry as bait, rounding out the bot side. Whereas for McAllister on the red side, Sunny Jesus. I don't know how I never noticed that name before. In the top lane with Hear Me Roar, roaring in the jungle. No Suits mid lane with Lekandor and Formic Nightfall on the bot side. Anybody's guess who is going to win this game, but again, it will be a spicy one.
Yeah, and there's nothing really odd about any of the Keystone Masteries or Summoner spells as of right now, so no need to really discuss any of those for now. It's just going to be focusing on this early game and seeing exactly how these teams will play out. Now,
I'm sorry, I'm still on Sunny Jesus. I believe that's a substitute because I haven't seen that name yet. But I really hope that he just changed his name to that recently because that would be fantastic.
I mean, can easily check. Let me just.
But we are seeing an early invade. The real J-Dog spotted out by the Condor, and nothing really comes out of it.
It's the main top laner. It's not a substitute.
Really?
Yep.
All right. Well, that is news to me, but kudos on the creativity, sir. In the meantime, McAllister capitalizing on that failed invade on the bottom side. They get a ward onto the side of St. Cloud's blue buff, which is just going to show them a little bit of the jungle pathing. It's going to go away pretty quickly, but they might be able to spot out if Burga goes straight from red buff up into his topside jungle.
It's not going to last that long. They placed it at 1 minute 5. That's going to be gone by 2 minute 5, which is only going to be once Burga really starts getting towards that second camp. So it's going to disappear well before you could even reach it. Yeah. The only thing that's really going to accomplish is to be able to tell them that Burga has not started at the blue buff, so it will give them more an idea of the route that Burga is going to be taking, just nothing with definitive answers. Meanwhile, we can see that Hear Me Roar and Burga are both going with a bit of a... Oh, actually, Burga looking to gank really early into this mid lane.
Yeah, heading straight towards No Suits on the Oriana. Level 2 flash goes out. So Summoner spell advantage already for the side of St. Cloud, but that does mean that Hear Me Roar can kind of catch up in that jungle clear a little bit. Maybe even catch out Burga in its own jungle.
No, that's not going to happen just yet, just because Hear Me Roar is going for a full clear style. We can see him just clearing the ground going onto Wolf, so he's going for more of a let me just hit level 6 before you type of deal, since that will make him much more powerful in the counter ganks. Meanwhile, in this top lane, Sunny Jesus doing a lot of damage.
Sunny Jesus trying to pull a miracle. Get that level 2 all in. Doesn't quite get the damage out there. A real J-Dog forced to back off a little bit.
He's had to go with the slice and dice to make it so that he can simply chase down real J-Dog for as long as possible, and eventually just make it so he could either chase him out of lane or make him burn all of his potions. Right now he already has 2 down, but that's still 3 to go through. So it's going to be quite a while until real J-Dog is ever actually forced out of this top lane. Meanwhile, we can see that Burge is only just hitting level 3 right after this camp.
But Hear Me Roar is mid-side. Can they get Spring's 24? At least his Hummer spell decides to back off. It was warded.
Yeah.
While I'm talking about that top lane again, Sunny Jesus just keeps going in onto the real J-Dog. But real J-Dog taking that cloth armor means that he starts with 4 biscuits. So again, his sustain will be very strong. He's just got to pop that shield a little earlier. Sunny Jesus keeps getting damage before that shield goes off and is actually looking to die. Flash in, first blood secured by Sunny Jesus.
Alright, one thing I'm really confused about is the fact that real J-Dog
trap lands on Lacandra. Can they get the damage? There's a bubble. Heal is still available in Lacandra. You're playing with fire. Or water, as it were, with the Nami. You like that one?
Oh, I just realized what you said. No.
Oh, they're coming all night. I'm here.
No.
Here till 10.
No. Alright, but as I was mentioning before, that whole early gank to the mid lane by Burge was not too effective just because, yes, you burned the flash really early on no suits, but now you have where Burge is incredibly behind us. We can see that Hear Me Roar and Sunny Jesus are just invading this jungle and gaining a lot of pressure, denying the farm, denying the camps. Meanwhile, no suits hasn't really lost anything at all.
Yeah, J-Dog might get caught out again, as this is now a 2v2, potentially a 3v2. There's a hook land onto Hear Me Roar. They go back into the Sunny Jesus. No flash available. He already would use it under turret, but is still able to dash out, making it a 0-for-0 trade. But there's still a lot of skirmishes going on.
Yeah, no suits actually just using Ignite in the mid lane with Spring 24 also burning heal. And all flashes are down for the top laners and junglers to both sides, so that means that any type of aggressive attempts are going to be null and void until around level 6, where Burge is going to have much stronger defensive potential with that assault and battery, and Hear Me Roar can try and knock people back with the explosive cast. Meanwhile, we can see that Burge is trying to steal and sneak away this Raptor camp. However, by proccing that Scryer's Bloom, you simply let them know that you are in the area. So honestly, Burge should be getting caught out here by no suits, but he's simply not paying attention.
And no suits not necessarily in a position to 1v1 the Vi because Spring's 24 is still very close. Hear Me Roar was incredibly low on health and mana, so even though they might have seen that Burge was there, difficult to make that kind of decision. Do we stay and try to fight this, or do we just let them have it and try to make it up later?
Yeah, but you could easily throw. Oh, never mind.
Sunny Jesus on the inside. Flash available for Springs, but able to just explosive jump away.
Yeah, and from that type of roam towards the mid lane, he's going to be missing out on a decent amount of experience and farm from the top side, potentially making it so that real J-Dog will be able to catch up in levels and hit level 6 around the same time as Sunny Jesus, which in all honesty, the death charge from real J-Dog is going to be far more impactful.
Sunny Jesus going in on a real J-Dog. Gets the auto attack resets. Coming in with Tiamat makes him incredibly strong. Not only at wave clearing, but also that auto attack reset onto the Nautilus is going to give him that extra level of burst that he needs.
Yeah. One thing we can see here is that real J-Dog is trying to prioritize wave clear instead of potential safety by maximizing the Riptide instead of the Titan's Wrath on his levels. So it's going to be a little bit higher farming gold income for him, but he's going to be risking those dives yet again from Sunny Jesus while he is quite behind already. So he really needs to try and figure out what he wants to focus on, survivability or simply getting the gold that he wants.
Oh, Lacandra getting a little far forward, but he has backup. Bubble lands onto him, but Hear Me Roar is there to try to jump onto use 80 carries bait, getting lots of damage. Heal available. Flash is used instead as use 80 carry as bait. It's a little too far forward.
Yeah, in all honesty, there was nothing left to really catch out use 80 carry as bait, so the heal could have been burned a much smaller cooldown summoner spell that would have done the job equally well. Not too sure why he wanted to use the flash, but still, he survived, so good job to him for being able to survive the gank, avoid the body slam from Hear Me Roar, and actually, from all these gank attempts, he is now behind an experience from Burge, so he should be hitting that level 6 a little delayed.
Yeah, Hear Me Roar also behind a lot in farm. and in gold as well. Berge doing a really good job of just staying focused. He trusts his team. Says, I know the Hear Me Roar is roaming a lot, trying to get these lanes in, but I trust you to survive. I'm just going to keep doing my thing in the jungle, and eventually I'll get that level 6 faster. But now Sean Nelson can add to form Ignite Fall. There's the chain CC coming in from the traps in the bubble. Now Ignite onto Lakondor. Heal is popped from Sean Nelson. That was good for them to save it, but actually the kill goes to form Ignite Fall first, as Sean Nelson barely picks up a return. But Hear Me Roar does not want it to go unanswered as he's on Sean Nelson. Now teleport coming down. There's the traps. Flash away from Sean Nelson, and the TP is completed from Real J-Dog. Berga, do they look to dive?
Missed the dredge line, and now that's going to be giving up the top lane turret for free, which means that the first Batalgo is going to go in completely to Sunny Jesus. It is already well ahead of Real J-Dog, and it's going to be just about 400 more gold going into his no, 650 gold going into his pocket.
The solo first turret blood gold is incredible when it comes to power spikes. And you got to question Real J-Dog. Had time to cancel the teleport. He saw the Hear was backing off.
He went through, but the teleport actually failed because he completely missed the dredge line onto Hear Me Roar.
Exactly. And even if he had gotten it, first turret still would have gone over to Sunny Jesus. So that's where you have to make the decision. Is it worth it to try to get a couple kills if you're going to lose that first turret blood? Because first turret blood worth a lot more than a solo kill or even a kill with the assist on it.
Yeah,
Sunny Jesus, though,
Sunny Jesus. Sunny Jesus was able to just
flash in from Real J-Dog, but again, the hook misses. Depth charge is available. There's the ultimate from Berga, and this is 3 members converging onto Sunny Jesus, but he just won't die. Finally goes down, but no suits is there for backup with Hear Me Roar. Keep in mind, Hear Me Roar is not level 6 yet. Taking a lot of damage to Spring 24 Real J-Dog. There's the heal, but no suits jumps in onto J-Dog, trying to heal up with the jungle plants, but can't quite get it.
Yeah, and with Berge dying off and Sunny Jesus going down as well, that means that the buffs actually just got transferred over to no suits, which in all honesty, a blue buff is far more effective on an Orianna than a Renekton. So that was kind of a win for McAllister. Aside from the fact they also got the 2 kills, there's the fact that they were able to take that stolen blue buff and give it over to no suits, who now will be having immense lane pressure against this man on the Spring 24.
And the initiation, Sunny Jesus teleports down, but gets knocked up from the Nami tidal wave. Still jumping onto Sean Nelson. Goes the wrong direction though, following Uzeta Kiri. Really smart from the side of St. Cloud rather. Not sticking together because they know Renekton can't go for both of them at the same time if they split up. But this does mean a lot of pressure on mid-turret for McAllister.
Yeah, it's going to be mid-turret taking a huge amount of damage. The wave is already going to be crashing back, and Spring 24 will be there in time to try and defend the turret. Unless if he gets dove real quick right here, there is barely any mana on Hear Me Roar, so I doubt he has enough for a Body Slam Explosive Cast combo.
But he has hit that level 6 finally, meaning that he's going to be a lot more effective in these ganks.
Yeah, but what this also means, though, is that he needs to focus a little more on farming to make sure he doesn't fall too far behind on Berge, because real soon it's going to be that time of the game where people start prioritizing dragons and other objectives that you need to have that smite advantage for. If not, there's always that risk of a steal, which in all honesty, a Vi can easily hop over a wall and steal a dragon. It's the same way around for the other side, where Gragas with an explosive cask can also burst down dragons with ease.
And this is what it comes down to. Can St. Cloud stay composed? They're a little bit behind in gold, 2,300 at 11 minutes, almost 12 minutes. Can they keep focused? Can they make sure that they are still in this game and focusing on what they need to? And this is exactly what they do. They rotate straight to Drake. It's just a Cloud Drake. It's not that Mountain Drake that they really want, but it is really important for them to pick it up right now.
Oh, Cloud Dragon will also be incredibly important to them oh no, that's an Ocean Dragon. What are you talking about?
Sorry, Ocean Dragon. Yes, correct.
Yeah, no, Ocean Dragon is going to be huge for them, especially because they have a Ziggs and a Nautilus who are both very mana hungry, and simply having that extra sustain, especially in the side of mana, is going to be a huge...
Oh, Hear Me Roar! There's the flash belly flop combo. Using Akiri's bait is the bait himself as he goes down. Sean Nelson not able to heal him to keep him alive.
He also ended up burning both summoner spells, trying to potentially get out, but simply just didn't really get to
Berga is there. Oh! Can't quite get over the wall. That would have been very strong. They would have picked up a kill on the Lakondor, most likely.
Maybe.
Heal was still available.
Heal. Yeah, he still had heal, and former Grindfall had polymorph, so he could have easily just polymorphed Verge right after his ultimate, and then nothing simply would have came of it.
Yeah, and Sonny Jesus not caring about Real J-Dog's auto attack damage, trying to get damage onto that turret, but Sean Nelson looks to get a little aggressive here. 1v2 in Lacondor and Formic Nightfall, getting a lot of damage out. Ace in the hole is available. Will he use it, however, onto Lacondor? Not a lot of mana left. Keep in mind, Lulu still has Wild Growth. There is still heal available, and Lulu could just tank it.
Yeah, Lulu could also tank it. There is also the shields offered by Formic Nightfall, plus still heal. And in all honesty, they should back soon have Yumi Roar go and defend that tower because he has enough wave clear where he could easily keep the tower up and running beyond Sean Nelson. And meanwhile, up in the top lane, Sonny Jesus 2 levels ahead, going decently aggressive onto Real J-Dog.
No, but here Roar is on the bottom side. He's not going to clear waves. He's going to go for kills as Tidal Wave only lands on a one member. Burga is there as well. Zig's ultimate misses, but flash blown from Lacondor. Heal still available. Actually, he does have to blow that as well. And can they get the damage? Not quite. Flash from Formic Nightfall means that they might just get a kill, but they can't get the damage. Finally, they get a kill, but it's not St. Cloud that gets it. Rather, McAllister Springs picking up the turret while he can. So overall, a 3-for-1 in a turret. Really well played from McAllister, collapsing that incredibly quickly.
That was well played from McAllister in order to collapse and kind of weave their way throughout that fight, but at the same time, oh, never mind, aggression in the top lane.
On to Sonny Jesus, Real J-Dog decides to flash away. Doesn't even survive that long. Sean Nelson also struggling on this bot side as Hear Me Roar coming around on the back end. No suits there for the damage. Hear Me Roar tanking up the turret shots and a clean pickup.
Yeah, so that's actually going to be probably 2 turrets going down. Now, from what you mentioned, it was only 1 turret going down for St. Cloud, but now McAllister are going to be taking 2 of their own with no suits. Formic Nightfall and Hear Me Roar down here in the bot lane, 3-manning this turret with a decently sized wave right now. So, in all, McAllister really took control of that fight and was able to make it.
Might be getting a little too far forward. No suits has Shockwave available. They might have been able to burst him down.
Yeah, but with how low Formic Nightfall and Hear Me Roar are, especially in the side of mana, nothing really would have came up afterwards. It would have just been the Shockwave getting used, Brainstorm 4 maybe getting chunked out and have to back. But after that, not much. And you'd want to keep the Shockwave up for a much bigger team fight scenario. So I can see why No Suits didn't want to go for the aggression right there. And with that last big team fight we saw, a lot of that was also just simple mistakes on the side of St. Cloud, to where there was the knockback by Ziggs using the satchel charge, and Burga ended up missing his Q because of that, not properly adjusting his aim for it, and there was just so many mishaps that came through on all sides. Just missing skill shots, missing ultimates, and not respecting the summoner spells that were up inside of McAllister.
Yeah, now St. Cloud's got to figure out how they get back into this game. They have that dragon, and next the dragon that will be up will in fact be a Wind Drake, the one that I said incorrectly last time, or the Cloud Drake. So that will give them extra rotation speed, but they really, it's got to feel bad. They want those Mountain Drakes. They want those Infernals. They want to be able to siege.
Infernals aren't really that great for the side of St. Cloud right now. As you mentioned, Earth Dragons are going to be the best, but the 2 best in all honesty is going to be Ocean and the Mountain Dragons, just because Ocean will make it so that they can siege longer while staying healthy and avoiding the poke of Lacondor and No Suits. Meanwhile, the Mountain Dragon's obviously going to help with the sieging. Cloud Dragons would also be useful just because they'll help them go from one turret to the next if they're rotating around lanes. Which, in all honesty, if they were to pick up some Cloud Dragons, they could have Spring 24 go around and take out top turrets or some other turret in the side lanes, while everyone else takes care of mid.
Well, of course, any dragon can be used by any team. It's just what ones will help the most. As Burning Jesus getting caught out a little bit, has his ultimate popped, but taking a lot of damage from Burga and Real J-Dog. He can only tank for so long, but maybe it's going to be enough as they're going in again. Kills going to McAllister in the mid lane and in the top lane, and Sonny Jesus pulls off the 1v2. Real J-Dog on the retreat now. Underturned might actually pick up a kill as the Sonny Jesus himself gets a little too greedy.
Yeah, he got 2 little lifesteal through that trade and ended up costing his life for it, but he still took down Burgay in the meantime, which means that he will be down for this next dragon, and McAllister could easily rotate and go take this dragon for themselves, which is what they should be doing in all honesty. They have 4 members up, they have their jungler up, and could easily burn down this Cloud Dragon before Burgay can even get there to respond.
And they're rotating immediately there. Springs 24 not having the Mega Bomb available. There's not a big threat of a steal from far away, and they have the vision, so they can tell if Burgay is coming, but it's not even going to matter. This is going down so fast.
Yeah, you have to remember that with how fed No Suits is, he is 6-0-1. He is going to be backing and soon picking up that Luden's Echo, it looks like he is building towards, which is just going to be adding a lot more damage to his arsenal, especially if he is able to land a shockwave on multiple enemies at once.
Yeah, Burgay clearing up his jungle a little bit, and St. Cloud, it just seems like they're struggling. They're not quite sure what to do right now to get back in, being 6,000 gold behind at the moment.
Yeah, the only real way I can see St. Cloud trying to come back from this is if they simply stay grouped up, stop trying to force the 1v1 between Real J-Dog and Sunny Jesus. If anything, you should be having Burgay deal with that, just because Burgay has slightly better wave clear and self-peel tools than Real J-Dog has, and you want that extra engage from Real J-Dog to join you in those team fights that are occurring. Meanwhile, Springs 24 is simply standing way too far forward during these attempts to wave clear, which is allowing the shockwaves to go through, and Sean Nelson has no real reason to do the wave clearing himself.
Yeah, and again, Caitlyn finally getting that Rune Answer Hurricane, though, is going to help with that wave clear. She can auto-attack from such a long distance that maybe now it's going to be a little easier for them to stop these sieges that are, oddly enough, coming from McAllister. We're talking about, or rather, I was talking about the sieging potential from St. Cloud. We just haven't seen it yet. McAllister doing a much better job of these rotations, much better job of the jungle putting pressure elsewhere. And honestly, just Sunny Jesus dominating top lane.
He's absolutely dominating this top lane, but he could also be rotating towards the bot lane, putting pressure there. The top turret is already down. I don't really see him picking up the Nexus inhibitor tower soon, just because it's a much more difficult one to take when you're by yourself. It's so close to the base that people could back off and stop you in a group, as we saw last time with that 2v1. Yeah, he'll get some damage, but he'll never actually be able to take this successfully, at least for another few minutes. Instead,
instead Sean Nelson getting caught out, but so is Sunny Jesus. This is the same 2v1 that we just saw. Do they really want to opt into it? Sunny Jesus getting so much lifesteal, but there's the ultimates being blown, the damage going in, but is it enough as he's bursting down Burgay, but the heal is there. Can they get the damage? Burning Jesus goes down to the Real J-Dog, so close, and a really good roam from Springs 24, but it does mean that mid-turret might be going down.
Yeah, it might be going down, but at the same time, they still have Springs 24 over there to simply defend, and it looks like the side of McAllister is going to be trying to rotate down towards the bot lane, or at least pressure somewhere in the middle, just making it so that they have to acknowledge all sides of the map at once. And as I was mentioning, they should honestly just send Sunny Jesus down to the bot lane instead. There is still a tier 2 tower over there that he could be pressuring, and if enough pressure is down towards that bot lane, they could turn around and rush Baron on the side of McAllister, just because most of the time we've been seeing that the pressure that Sunny Jesus applies is answered by Burgay.
Yeah, I definitely like sending Sunny Jesus down towards the bot side. Push that in. Pressure Baron. Have the rest of the 4 go top, but in the meantime, Sean Nelson getting caught out maybe a little bit by Hume Roar and the Condor. He has no backup anywhere in sight. And what are you doing that far forward? There was no wave to pick up. Getting caught
not too
out
sure
in
what's
an
going on
awkward
over there.
position.
Oh!
In the meantime, Shockwave only catches use AD carry as bait. He's left for the rest of the team to pick up as Sunny Jesus jumps onto Springs 24. He's going to be picking up this kill. It's just a matter of time as Burga now trying to rush to the help, but getting caught out on the wrong side of the map.
They have to go on to Baron right now. This is the perfect opportunity to try and go for Baron. They can easily 5-man it. There's no way Real J-Dog is going to be able to stop them. And after the Baron, they could easily back off, push up the side lanes, make it so that they'll be pushing in and pressuring. Again, send Sunny Jesus to that bot lane, everyone else go mid, do a 0-4-1 type of system, and you can pressure multiple lanes at once.
Yeah, and this is not looking good for St. Cloud behind about 7,000 or 7,000 gold right now, as well as 3 turrets. Dragons matched. Baron going down. Things are not looking great for the side of St. Cloud. They really want this win in order to be able to get a place in the playoffs.
Yeah, this game is incredibly important to them. If they cannot pull it off, they'll just be getting that much closer to denial into the playoffs. And in all honesty, they have to come up with something soon. They cannot be simply wave clearing and giving up time as they see fit. They have to be a little more proactive with their plays rather than reactive.
It's just a little, it's a little difficult for them right now. I mean, their initiation is meant to be Burga and Real J Dog, but they keep setting Real J Dog solo to deal with Sunny Jesus, which honestly, there's none of the other members really can do that 1v1. Maybe Burga, but I think Burga, it's more important to have him elsewhere.
I could also see them signing Sprint 24 just because Sprint 24 could easily wave clear anything that Sunny Jesus comes up with. So it would
Burga, though, getting cut out a little bit here, taking some damage, but able to get away, meaning red buff. Even the jungle camps are being contested.
Yeah, and we have 25 seconds till this next dragon is going to be coming up. It's going to be another Cloud Dragon, which either team at this point could really utilize that. They have it where McAllister is rotating around the map trying to cover all objectives, as we just saw, even controlling the jungle completely. Meanwhile, St. Cloud could easily utilize it as well, and it looks like...
do they use the shockwave? Not yet. It's only Burga that they caught out. And Burga getting away. Burning Jesus on the backside, though. Gets the kill on Tuesday to carry his bait. There's the explosion getting Real J-Dog caught out from his team. Flash forward. Burga trying to stop as much damage as he can, but that's a double going to Sunday Jesus. So many members very low on this side of McAllister, but it doesn't matter because a huge shockwave from No Suits cleans up a kill for his 80 carry. As Lacondor following up with that damage, and this mid turret's got to be going down here. 3 members from St. Cloud bit the dust.
It should be both mid and bot. You can see that Sunny Jesus is rotating straight down towards that bot lane turret, taking it for himself with a decently sized wave. This could also be inhibitor turret going down because the only people that are going to be up is going to be Spring 24, but he's taking care of that top turret. So there is no wave clear right now defending either of these inhibitor turrets.
And I like the kind of spice that they threw in there. You talked about how you would have liked to see the 0-4-1 push, the split push with Sunny Jesus going bot side, the rest of the team going mid, but they kind of threw it on its head. They sent Sunny Jesus mid and everybody else bot. And St. Cloud just was not expecting that. They got caught out in their own jungle because they didn't have the wards. They were all cleared out earlier by Hear Me Roar.
Yeah, and now we can see that McAllister is going to be melting this next dragon. No contest is going to be coming in from St. Cloud, and this would actually be the perfect time while everyone is back in McAllister to try and get some wards directly around where they are going to be pushing next, which is going to be mostly in the bot side jungle, I would imagine. Just because that wave is already pushed and it'd be easiest to go with the wave that's already pushed. You just need to set up wards all around to make sure that you can see all flanking spots. But it looks like they may just be grouping mid and going for this open inhibitor.
Yeah, and on the side of St. Cloud, they're going towards the top side. It seems like they might be a little lost right now, not knowing where the most opportune place is to be. They're trying to siege his top turret, and it might be answered by McAllister as Burning Jesus.
Ooh, and with Sir Bucket's mic kicking out, going to be filling in, there is the net into the trap, and we can see that the Assault and Battery is going to be used to lock him down, while the Mega Inferno Bomb is going to be finishing him off.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can.
All right. I guess I dropped out. I didn't notice any drop in my frame rate, but good job, Benjamin. You stepped in.
Yeah, that was actually a really bad timing for you to drop out right there. But in the meantime, they got the inhibitor turret while we can see that Sunny Jesus was trying to continue pressuring this top lane turret. He didn't really get to push anything. Burga is going to be taking this tower for himself. One tower isn't that...
Ooh, shockwave on use 80 carry. It's a little bit waste of a summoner spell, or rather an ultimate. No suits, only catching out one member, not even getting that much damage. So this is good for St. Cloud. It just means that tool won't be available for a little while longer on the side of McAllister.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's such a short cooldown. We can already see that it's about halfway back up. It should only have about... Let me just double check. It only has 30 more seconds. So it's only a 1-minute cooldown at this point in time. So in all honesty, there's not really much to worry about.
But on the side of St. Cloud, they're able to stop the siege of this bottom turret. This is what we're talking about. Their wave clear very strong with the Ziggs, with the Caitlyn. Those traps make it really difficult for Lakondor to get in auto attack range, and he's the one that's going to be doing the most damage to these turrets right now. But in the meantime,
Yeah.
Sunny Jesus pushing topside, has teleport available.
Yeah, and once Sunny Jesus gets to that top turret, there will be pressure to the point where not every single person can be in this bot lane side, and someone will have to answer, and that is exactly what McAllister can answer, such as right now!
Tidal Wave going in, No Suit's taking a lot of damage, might get away, does not. Bergen picking up that kill as we hear me roar taking damage. There's a teleport from Sunny Jesus, but can he pick up anything for it as the real J-Dog is not quite tanky enough to stop all this damage, but now Sunny Jesus taking up turret, trying to jump onto Berga. Berga goes back in! Balls of an Ox picking up a kill for his 80 carry Sean Nelson, making it a 1-for-2 trade as Sunny Jesus barely gets away with his life.
Whew! That was a big fight with a ton of lockdown onto both No Suits and Hear Me Roar to initiate it. 2 people go down for the only one on the side of St. Cloud, and this turret is still going to be getting pressure, but with how low Sunny Jesus is, he has to back off, and now Lakondor is actually in a bit of trouble too.
Yeah, and this is looking difficult for McAllister, but they jump back in. Sunny Jesus says, I'm not afraid, as they make it a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, with Sprint 24 being down, there's going to be a majority of the wave clear down for St. Cloud, but there's still not many people up right now to do any sieging while Sprint 24 is down, so there's not much to grab from that trade. At most, that 1-for-1 is really only beneficial towards St. Cloud just because, well, you're only allowing yourself to catch up in gold at this point.
They do lose that middle inhibitor for that, though, meaning that the map has really opened up for the side of McAllister. They were already ahead in turrets, but now they're ahead in wave pressure. They don't need to push in mid anymore. It'll push itself, so they can just send Sunny Jesus topside, send the rest of the members bot side, or rather the other way around so that they can pressure this Baron, which is up right now with no vision from the side of St. Cloud.
Yeah, like St. Cloud has been doing an awful job when it comes to trying to take opportunity to when they could go for setting up vision. And their overall coverage of vision is decent whenever people are sieging, but when going for these jungle objectives such as Baron or Dragon, the ward coverage has just been awful in all honesty.
Yeah. One blue trinket is up there, though, being canceled out by the pink ward, so it's not actually giving them that much vision. And on the side of McAllister, opting to not take it out, which is interesting to me, but they do jump onto Springs 24. Shockwave is there onto 2 members, getting deleted. Bergen, you're a tank, but can you survive all of this brutality as you're going to be going down almost to the redemption snipe? This is not looking good for St. Cloud, as that's 2 members. One of their tanky is down. Real J-Dog, the final tank, means that only the bot lane for St. Cloud is alive. This could even be the end of the game, as McAllister realizing they don't need Baron. They can just go straight for the members of St. Cloud. Sean Nelson's not safe. Flash from use 80 carries bait barely gets him away from the Hear Me Roar's initiation. Oh, Sean Nelson, that doesn't feel good. We all know the feeling of helplessness under your own turret. Like, please shield me, as McAllister looks to end the game.
Yeah, the only members that are going to be up real soon is going to be Spring 24 and Berge, who won't really be able to defend this turret. They are up now, but in all honesty, they do not have the damage. He does not have the AoE to really clear
Berge getting
everyone.
knocked back with the explosive cast from Hear Me Roar, taking so much damage. Can't even get back into his own fountain as he goes down, but the rest of the members are slowly coming up. Can they defend the Nexus? As McAllister still fairly healthy.
Oh, the inhibitor!
Keep poking it down. The inhibitor's up. This is not looking good. Real J-Dog, though, is getting caught out a little bit if they can take him down. The final boss, McAllister, takes down the real J-Dog, meaning only Springs 24 and use 80 carries better up. But now Sean Nelson is there. Can they keep defending? The inhibitor is gone, meaning Nexus is vulnerable again. Sean Nelson picking up the kill on a Hear Me Roar, might be going down to Lakondor. Shutdown for use 80 carry, but McAllister focuses the Nexus and wins the game.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're going for those kills. As long as the Nexus goes down, that means there will be a victor, and that victor for tonight is going to be McAllister. GG's all around. Great game to watch, great game to cast. And overall, there's going to be a lot to talk about with that match. First off,
so much action going on.
First off, though, we have to recognize St. Cloud, you have a very difficult side of week coming up in order to try and make it so that you can climb back into the playoff spots. You need to pick up your game.
St. Cloud playing this next Thursday against University of Minnesota, ganked by Gophers, an undefeated team right now in the tournament. So I do agree it's difficult, not impossible, but difficult. There's a lot they can learn, though, looking at their past games, specifically that warding. We talked about that a little bit. It was a struggle for them to see where McAllister was on the map, which allowed McAllister to make those plays, make those initiations, and just kind of tear apart St. Cloud because they didn't have their tanky front line there when they needed to defend.
Yeah, not only that, as mentioned before, they did a decent job warding when it came to trying to deny sieges, but they were never able to truly take the action. And as mentioned before, back in Champion Select, the teams were pretty equal in terms of picks and bans. It's just the raw execution of it was not there. But we also have to mention the excellent execution from the side of McAllister. They had Sonny Jesus, who's absolutely dominating that top lane, being able to dive early on and get a huge lead onto Real J-Dog and always cause pressure in the side lanes. Meanwhile, there was also No Suits having amazing shockwaves throughout the entire game.
Yeah, looking at the damage charts, however, Spring's 24. Only 1, 4, and 8 on his champion, but look at that CS. Still staying relative in the game, also putting out the second most damage. Doing a really good job, but Lacondor, Sonny Jesus, just doing too much for the side of St. Cloud to deal with. But that was our game 1 of the evening. Stick around, however, because coming up next, we have St. Olaf fighting against the Fighting Saints. So many Saints in this tournament. I love it.
Yeah. All right.
In the meantime, we're going to take a very short break and get right back into it in about 5 or 10 minutes. So stick around. Don't go anywhere, and we will be right back.
Hello, welcome back, everyone. We're going to be getting into game number 2, which is going to be St. Olaf versus CSS Fighting Saints in just a few moments. We're getting everyone into the lobby and are still waiting for Sir Bucket to return. I believe he's just in the bathroom. In the meantime, let's take a look at the standings for St. Olaf and the Fighting Saints. We have it where St. Olaf is going to be standing in, coming over at 5-3, and the Fighting Saints are going to be 2-5. So St. Olaf basically has the playoffs cinched for them if they can win just a few more games. I believe only one more game, and it's actually going to be cinched. Meanwhile, the Fighting Saints need to come up and win a few more matches to try and make it so that they can come up in the standings.
Did you start the stream without me again, Don?
We have a timer. Like, it comes back at a certain time. Can't help it.
Fair. All fair things. But I do agree with what you're saying. Fighting Saints, this is also their first game of the evening, so they gotta figure out what they're gonna do here going in. Not only do they have to win this, but they also gotta win the next one as well. Or not necessarily need to, but it's only gonna help.
Yeah, and one thing that we're also talking about is how St. Olaf right now is standing pretty high in the standings and could easily try and cinch themselves a playoff seat if they can win this next game and maybe one more after that.
Yeah, St. Olaf actually being our third-ranked team, tied for third with two other teams as well, both from Duluth, Chicken Chasers and Ram Ranch. You'll see Ram Ranch play in a later game this evening, but those three, I'm curious to see which one is going to be able to secure that third position spot, or maybe we'll see an upset. Maybe we'll see one of the other teams like the Pocket Picks make a rise in the later half of this season. But keep in mind, there's only a couple more chances for these teams to get those wins.
Yeah, most of these teams are around 7 or 8 games, and there's only 11 games throughout the splits. So things are really going to be coming up to a close soon, and honestly, teams have to be picking up the slack that they are missing out on if they want to try and make it towards the playoffs. The biggest thing that we have been seeing struggling with teams is definitely jungle control and warding in defensive positions, to where it makes it really difficult to try and climb back when you simply give up your own jungle and you don't really have the proper warding to know where the enemy is when they're invading. And I want to see that type of improvement come from both sides.
That's kind of what we see when we're looking at the only two teams to secure their playoff spot, Ganked by Gophers and Mavericks. When we watch their games, jungle is so important. Ganked by Gophers, known for their jungler, literally a potato, and how much he affects lanes. Mavericks as well. I definitely agree with you there. We got to be looking at these junglers. What's their jungle pathing? Where are they putting their wards? Are they roaming to the lanes when it's efficient? Or are they just going because they're called over? Maybe they're forced to move around depending on how well their team is currently doing. That's never fun as a jungler to be forced to go to a lane just to get them back ahead.
Yeah, that's never fun. And while it may not be fun, it's also something that is still very effective in the sense that if you try and make up for a lane that can easily carry in the later or in the later parts of the game, such as a bot lane with Vayne, a bot lane with Sivir, as we saw before, there is Orianna, Cassiopeia, incredibly powerful late game champions that sometimes you have to protect in order to ensure that they can reach that late game points.
Yeah, and with the jungle meta that we've seen, it's also a lot of those carry junglers. So I like watching them play. I like seeing them move around and be able to affect those lanes and also get themselves some kills. But like you said, you got to also share the kills with the lanes, because those are the ones that will typically be carrying the late game unless you're hoping to secure that win very quickly. We saw McAllister win in a 30-minute game last time, but some of the times these games go to the 40-minute, 50-minute mark. So who's going to be the later game carry?
Yeah, and that's going to be decided during the Champions League. But then again, we've also been seeing early game snowball compositions being what's incredibly powerful right now in the current meta. As we saw before, even something really small like an early tower dive that gets you a kill, like with what I forgot his name, the top laner from the Castro that we had last game.
Oh, you forgot about the Jesus?
Yeah, but I know Jesus, but what's the other part of his name?
Sunny Jesus.
Yeah, Sunny Jesus. Sunny Jesus with the early dive was able to make it so that he had enough of a lead against Real J-Dog to where he could simply dominate the lane for the rest of the game and constantly have that pressure applied. And I want to see teams try and adapt to that playstyle to either picking incredibly safe top laners or to play along with that meta style and continue picking these incredibly heavy snowball champions rather than the tanks like Nautilus, because simply he doesn't make the cut anymore. It doesn't do enough.
He is still good initiation, good peel, but when it comes to that top lane, we have seen a rise in the carry top laners. Some more tanks showing up in the support position. I'd like to see a return to maybe the Alistar initiation, if that is available for any of these teams. Again, I don't know what exactly every single support is comfortable playing. We can see the trends in what they've played in the past weeks, but a lot of that's still defined by the meta of those weeks and of those specific patches.
Yeah, we are just waiting on the members of St. Olaf to be getting in here, and then we'll be going into Champion Select. We have 7 minutes still before any punishment is delivered to teams, so there is plenty of time. In the meantime, let's take a look and try and think about what the pick ban may come out with, as well as the playstyle that we've seen from these two teams in the past and what they could try and look for and to try and improve.
Yeah, looking at the side of the Fighting Saints, we don't have that many statistics from them, again, where we're trying to catch up with every single week, but what we have seen is a trend of those tanky top laners. Poppy being played twice and Nautilus being played twice for the side of, again, the Fighting Saints. Kroll the Fourth feeling very comfortable on those, but can he adapt to maybe playing the carry role as we were just talking about?
Yeah, one thing I wouldn't be surprised with is seeing a lot of Rumble picks come in, just because Rumble is such a powerful top laner right now, having intense early game damage, as well as damage that scales since he is a damage carry. And it also allows you to pick something that's more AD oriented in your mid lane, such as Talon, Zed, Yasuo, and it allows for a much more diverse composition all around.
Something I expect to see banned against him, however, is Zach. We've seen that banned against the side of Fighting Saints so many times. Synos, it's kind of his pocket pick champ. You see those pocket pick videos Riot uploads. If Minnesota LCS ever gets the budget for that, definitely going to see a Zach video on Synos. He loves the champ, but unfortunately just hasn't played it much because it's always banned against them.
Yeah, we don't have a budget at all, so I doubt we'll ever really get to
one day.
Yeah, one day. We just need to get those sponsorships. We need to get those donations. It's all about what we want, though. If they want to help support us, they can go ahead and help support us. Until then, let's just keep on delivering these quality entertainment games, quality entertainment casts, and give them what they got.
Exactly. That's all we can ever hope for. Just a little bit of fun on a Tuesday night. Brighten everybody's day, and both teams are fully loaded in here. So hopefully we can get everybody into the pick and ban phase. Again, with the side of St. Olaf having first ban, they can leave some of those power picks up on the table. We've seen Kha'Zix and Graves already banned out today. Maybe we'll see a continued trend of the past weeks where those champions are either always picked or always banned. But keep in mind, they can always leave one on the table if they want to.
Yeah, and I imagine again we'll be seeing those early bans of Graves, not Gragas. Gragas is not ban worthy right now. I could see them going with early bans such as Graves and Kha'Zix again. Meanwhile, having that Zach ban against Synos could also be something that we see pop up. It could be an early ban just to make so they can get out of the way and save other bans for later on. Or if Deflube is comfortable on Zach, they could actually just have it be first picked and taken away while focusing on other priority picks or priority bans, such as that Graves, Kha'Zix, Lulu. Never mind.
There is the Zach ban. I wouldn't be surprised to actually see it followed up by maybe something along the lines of a Caitlyn or Morgana or Malzahar. Morgana and Malzahar both being played by Marvelous Maven a lot. An ex-Soviet playing 3 games of Caitlyn. Still shown that AD carry is very popular right now.
I could see that. We could also see something, maybe right now to Faker and Krell both enjoy those stinky top laners. They don't want to go for the carries just yet, so they may simply ban one of them out to try and lower that Trinity of Nautilus, Maokai, and whoever else could be a tank. Maybe Sion, maybe trying to think. Poppy, but they're not exactly the strongest right now. We do see a Malzahar ban coming through, and I'm guessing that's still focused around the idea of Malzahar supports, even though it's fallen out of flavor quite a lot ever since the introduction of Stoneborn Pact and the popularity of Lulu.
And also, might I just add, everybody, mark your calendars. March 28th at 7:58 p.m. Sir Buttkick successfully guessed a ban coming out from a team. I got it right. It was a Malzahar. I gave 3 champs and it was one of them. But then the Nami being their third ban, that's something I didn't see coming.
Yeah, the Nami I could somewhat understand just because Nami works decently well against Lulu. So if they want to go first pick that Lulu, that's essentially getting rid of the only other support that can really deal with the lane. The only thing that could really be picked would be something such as Janna or Soraka, which aren't exactly the greatest competitive scene supports, so it'd be limiting the pool of the other support player if you get this first pick Lulu in.
And however, Warwick as the final ban means that we finally get to see that pick. It is the Lulu locked in. How do you do it, Fen?
It's called having a brain. I know you can't really understand that concept, but...
Twitch chat, how do you feel about that diss right there? Throwing shade my way. Your co-caster.
I mean, I don't really care.
But the Malphite answered for Krell the 4th.
Okay, so with that Malphite, if you use the Unstoppable Force and try and knock up the team and get them burned down and dead before Lulu can even get a Wild Growth or a Help Me Picks through, it's essentially a way to burst them down before any of that peel can really arrive. With a Skarner and a Malphite pickup, though, I imagine they'll be going for something far more AP heavy in terms of the top and the mid lane, just because both Skarner and Malphite are great against AD compositions, not necessarily AP ones. So here's where I would love the Rumble to go through. Here's where I would love something such as maybe a Rise or even a Victor actually would be great against Skarner, but it wouldn't be great against Malphite. Something a little more mobile would be my preference.
And maybe see something along the sides of a Fizz. We've seen that banned a couple times this tournament, but it comes down to what has the Defiled played in the past. He's played a lot of Karthus and also actually Karma, which I wouldn't really mind seeing that pick either, but instead it's an Ahri locked in. And right not getting his signature Darius. We haven't seen it for a little bit here, but I'm excited. Throwback to last split.
With that Darius lock in, there's going to be a huge amount of harass coming from the top lane. Krell will probably be denied and a massive amount of farm, and it's all about what is going to be brought up next. They have it where the mid lane is guaranteed right now, as Ahri still is the support. They could easily try and pick those two up to make it so that the AD carry is left in the open, and they could try to at least counterpick that, but it looks like instead they're going to be locking it in with a Caitlyn potentially right now. So that's going to be Veigar locked in, and let's see.
The Veigar is locked in. I like the pick. Talking about scaling champs and teams trying to focus more on the late game than the early game, it's hard to have anybody that scales more than Veigar.
Is this going to be an AD cannon?
I would absolutely love it if they locked that in. One of the most fun things to watch in the bot lane, AD cannons. But come on, ex-Soviet. That was almost worse than hovering Teemo.
Yeah, that's just gonna be a Caitlyn right there. Which I mean, Caitlyn works pretty well. You have it where you
that's gonna be a Caitlyn.
You can follow up with one of the scout traps right underneath Karthus' ultimate, right underneath Malphite's ultimate, or even around the Veigar cage, just to make it so that you have the follow-up crowd control. In all honesty, anyone that gets locked up by Synos is essentially going to be completely destroyed because there's a nub on Veigar, there's Caitlyn. It's just not going to be fun for whoever is going to be the receiving end of the Impale.
And the question is, what is Marvel's Maven going to pick up? Morgana still on the table, the champion for support that he feels very comfortable on, playing it twice now. And let's look, though, what's answered on the side of St. Olaf. They chose to lock in their solo lanes, which was questionable, meaning that they still have their AD carry and jungle to lock in. Twitch and Sejuani will be the final choices.
All right. I love the Sejuani just because Sejuani is such an amazing engager that's going to work incredibly well with the Ari and Darius together. You have the Lulu to speed up the Darius, bring them into that fight. Meanwhile, Sejuani's going to be locking everyone up and making them sit still while Darius just completely destroys everyone. Same thing with Twitch on Ragnarok. So I can see that composition working out beautifully. The only thing I'm a little worried about is if Ragnarok can get locked down by Synos with the Impale or Krell with the Unstoppable Force, that would be a major source of damage completely gone. So I'm really curious as to how both teams are going to try and play this out. I could see them both end up doing like some ARAM 5-on-5 stuff, but I think I would prefer wanting to see right now to Faker take the teleports and keep that silent pressure like we saw last game with holy crap, I forgot his name again. Sunny Jesus.
Sunny Jesus, there we go.
Yeah. Like we saw Sunny Jesus do last game, using that teleports and the early game pressure just to constantly keep up something in the side lanes. But it looks like right now Faker is going to be going for a more aggressive style with that Ignite, and we will be seeing the loadouts be fully locked in. It's a double...
He's a triple.
No, double exhaust. Double exhaust bot lane.
Okay, he changed. He got healed. I was looking at the side of St. Olaf with 3 ignites, but instead it's swapped over from ignite to ghost on the Darius.
Yeah, so it's going to end up being a triple. Oh no, okay, yeah. So there's the ghost. Ghost is going to really help because, as we mentioned, the Darius is going to need this extra movement speed to try and reach the team for those full engages, which I don't mind. However, not having teleport is going to mean he won't be able to apply as much side lane pressure. Unless if you can equally force out the teleports away from Krell.
But keep in mind, Hanob also having that teleport. The double teleport comp from the side of Fighting Saints means that their rotations are going to be so much more confident because they know that the rest of the team can get there if they need it. Whereas St. Olaf is going to have to play it very carefully, very close to the vest. I'm expecting them to maybe not even split push as much, look for those team fights, look to get a kill or two, and then go for an objective because they just can't really put that pressure elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, but with that whole teleport on Hanub thing, I'm not too happy about it just because it's going to make him incredibly vulnerable to the Spirit Rush and Charm follow-up from Defiled, or even just having that Glacial Prison from the Flube. It's simply going to be too much lockdown, and it would be much better in this case to have something such as a Cleanse.
Yeah, the Cleanse against the CC-heavy composition of Ari with Sejuani. Lane survivability would be much higher, but maybe Hanob's looking for that late-game pressure. Again, though, Vigar not really known for his split push prowess. Can clear the waves quickly, but those turrets are a little more pesky.
Yeah, I'm really questioning what this teleport is meant for. Other than that, we got to do the usual who we think won the draft on each side. I honestly want to give it over to St. Olaf just because I really like the Lulu, Darius, and Sejuani combination. It's going to be doing massive amounts of damage, and then you have the follow-up coming in from an Ari and a Twitch being able to deal that AoE damage and completely decimate whoever is within range. I just feel like it's going to be something that is not unstoppable per se, but very hard to counteract unless if there is going to be some form of counter engage from the Fighting Saints, such as Krell using the Unstoppable Force at some perfect timing. But that's something we're going to have to see. What do you think?
I am honestly going to give it to St. Olaf as well. We talked about how the teams that win in this tournament especially typically tend to be the ones that play the early game more aggressively. If you can win early game and have it snowball, you're going to win the game, and that's just going off of so many games I've seen so far in Minnesota LCS doing exactly that. So having the double ignite and the ghost means that each individual lane should be slightly stronger than their opponents. And again, yes, they do have the peel for Twitch with Lulu. He's going to be doing massive amounts of damage. And Twitch scaling is going to kind of counteract that Vigar scaling. So even on the side of Fighting Saints, if they can get to that late game, they're still not necessarily going to have a free win there. So I like the teleport from Krell. That's the only thing I'm going to say I think is a big advantage for the side of Fighting Saints. But overall, I totally agree. St. Olaf having the better pick and ban. Talking about St. Olaf, however, we have Right Nut of Faker in top lane. The Flube 22 in the jungle with the Defiled mid lane. Swagnarok and Wolfie Meister rounding out that bot side. whereas Fighting Saints Krell the fourth in the top with Cynos jungle, Hanoob mid lane, and then on the bottom side, ex-Soviet with Marvelous Maven. So again, Twitch chat, get excited. Tell us if you think we're right, if you think we're wrong. We can take it. Who do you think is going to win? Hashtag St. Olaf or hashtag Fighting Saints. Also tweet at MNLCS or at MNSirButtKick. Getting into this game, noticing anything interesting with the Keystone Mastery?
Nothing really too interesting that I'm seeing with this. And right now we're going to be having it be a kind of standard start for these teams in terms of items. The only thing that I would be kind of surprised was the fact that right now Faker's going with the Dorn's Blade rather than something such as a Longsword. That would make it so he can scale into a Black Cleaver much faster. But apparently he wants to have slightly stronger lane advantage rather than just simply quicker scaling, which again, that early game focus is exactly what's been allowing these teams to win, so I completely understand that.
Yeah, the extra stats from Doran's Blade makes it just a better early item than the Longsword, and when you don't really care as much about getting to that power spike, your early game's going to be a much stronger in lane. And now looking at here, Fighting Saints want to catch out somebody. Nobody's falling for the bait.
Yeah, meanwhile, there's also a ton of pings going around from the side of St. Olaf. I'm not really sure if they're just random pings or if they actually have some purpose, but let's see whether or not Marvelous Maven can land the binding on someone. There are no wards right there, but Krell is spotted out.
Defloob sees all members of the Fighting Saints on the bottom side. Fighting Saints pinging out their own red buff.
They're most likely wondering if right now the Faker is going to be going over there to try and either take it away or just at least ward it up. But in all honesty, you see where Cynos was, and you know that he won't be able to go over towards his red buff fast enough to really go and clear it, so there's no point warning it if you already know where he's starting.
Very true. Both teams doing the pretty standard start, except for Defloob actually going for the chickens first.
Yeah, and it looks like that's actually what is kind of a newer thing that we see in much higher elos, where a Raptor start on the jungler makes it so that both side lanes can easily reach the lane at the same time, and you can't really tell where the jungler is starting. It's not a full guarantee, and it also makes it so that you can hit level 2 just off of the smaller parts of the camp. So it's a quick level 2. It takes down your health quite a bit, but overall, it is a much better macro style of start by the junglers.
Yeah, he was spotted out, however, by a ward placed earlier by the Fighting Saints, so they saw that he took those chickens. Goes to the blue buff after, the red buff after, questioning if Cynos will be able to respond in kind and maybe invade the jungle on the top side.
No, it only looks like he's going to be going for his red buff, and he's already going to be quite low. He will probably end up burning Smite in order to make it so he can just get a bit of health back, and he will be going for his Raptor's net. No. Looking towards the Spire plus the Scuttle Crab instead. Not really going for a full invade just yet. He may try and get some ward or at least a gank in this top lane right now.
And we are seeing right now to Faker. He doesn't even see it coming. Cynos is able to get the CC there, but can Krell follow up?
Ghost.
Ghost is burned. Summoner spell burned from right now to Faker. Cynos the fairly successful early gank.
Yeah, but at the same time, it was a ghost burned, and in the meantime, Defloob is just going to be taking his own jungle, while Cynos is just missing out on that farm. So it allows Defloob to get a tiny bit ahead, not too much, but essentially, Cynos needs to keep an eye on his top lane to make sure that with that summoner spell being burned, he can still do something with it.
Yeah, maybe even go top again at some point.
Yeah, it honestly doesn't matter the fact that
down actually.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't entirely matter the fact that you burn the ghost, because now it just makes it so that the combat summoner spells of both top laners are equal to where they both have flash, and a Darius is still going to easily beat a Malphite in this case. So not too much was actually gained from that gank. I would rather see Cynos put all his resources into either mid lane or bot lane, because even if he can get Krell ahead, a fed Malphite is going to be the exact same impact as a unfed Malphite.
Defloob going into the enemy jungle, trying to get aggressive, whereas on this bot side, ex-Soviet He got bursted down there earlier as I unfortunately missed the hype moment there, almost dying, but still has both summoner spells trying to get damage onto the enemy teams. Wolfmeister just kind of zoning them off as his bot side going pretty well for the side of the St. Olaf squad.
Yeah, we have Wolfmeister doing a lot of poke damage onto this, or as this Lulu. Most likely, I believe it was a Thunderlord's Decree set up on it to be a very poke-heavy type of early game from this champion, which, in all honesty, that is the biggest thing that is allowing Lulu to see such popularity as a laner support, rather than just going into a solo lane, is the fact that you have so much early damage that you can just control the lane easily.
Yeah, and I honestly just like the champ overall. I think she's really fun to play, very strong. Many people telling me, especially support mains, that they're starting to main her specifically just because of what she can bring to the team. And this is exactly what we're seeing now. Just the lane presence. You can tell that the Lulu is there as Noob. Low on mana, but getting damage onto Defile. Unfortunately, he's going to have to back to get some of that mana returned.
Yeah, the only sad thing about Lulu is, as you're mentioning, though, she is an incredibly niche pick to where she doesn't fit all compositions, and she doesn't work against all compositions. It's just mostly right now with what's meta and what's strong, she is the perfect denial against it. But, for instance, she's very weak against a disengage composition, and she is very weak with a heavy engage composition, because you more want something that's reactive when you're playing Lulu rather than something that's proactive. And it looks like, speaking of that reactivity, Synos is down here in the bot lane.
Yeah, not going to be able to get much for it, though. Kind of just runs right at them. Doesn't even try to go through the tri-bush. Not being level 6, it's more difficult to do that as the Skarner. And also, something that we didn't note earlier, Synos choosing to take Flash instead of Ghost. A lot of times Skarner players like Ghost for that extra movement speed. What are your thoughts on that?
Since he decided to go with the... Oh, never mind.
Oh, in the meantime, Marvel's maybe taking a lot of damage. Here's the Black Shield onto himself. Heal comes through from Ex-Soviet, but First Blood goes to Swagnarok. The mechanical outplay or just a mistake from Marvelous Maven. Your choice of how to look at it. Either way, St. Olaf gets very far ahead now. Hanob getting damage onto Defile, though doesn't blow that ultimate.
Yeah, and as you were saying, since Synos decided to go with the Stalker's Blade, in all honesty, it is something that's negligible in terms of differences, because being able to Flash Impale someone compared to Ghost Impale, not the biggest difference. It's just that Ghost is a little bit more powerful early on, while Flash is better for over-the-wall type ganks, which will be much more impactful in the mid to late game stages. So again, this is more summoner spell that's meant to fit with the composition they went with. That's more that mid to late game comp compared to wanting something early game.
Very true, but talking about mid to late game comps, St. Olaf wants that early game lead. They want to win this game more quickly, and they're on track to do that, specifically with bot lane. Swagnarok picking up First Blood. He was ahead in CS by quite a bit onto Ex-Soviet, who did catch up a little bit, but still advantage going to the bot side. St. Olaf coming back with a couple biscuits, although in the end, only 2 daggers when it comes to items.
Yeah, but you have to remember, with Twitch having those on-hit effects in its passive, that extra attack speed is actually going to be doing wonders. And
especially with the Lulu support, buffing his attacks even further.
Yeah, so Swagnarok right now will be having massive attack speed, although, honestly, using your W on Lulu early game for an attack speed buff is not nearly as useful as using it for the polymorph. Granted, that Black Shield will be not polymorph quite a bit as long as Marvelous Maven can be conservative with Black Shields.
Yeah, it's more difficult to land that Black Shield on to things like that, but Hanob actually getting caught out by Deflube. The turret is getting damaged down, but the Defiled picks up the kill. Deflube barely getting out in a beautiful Glacial Prison, predicting the flash.
Yeah, it wasn't even just predicting the flash, it was placing himself at an angle to where when he threw the Glacial Prison, he would be guaranteed to land it no matter what. And that was just a beautiful play. Meanwhile, we can see that Synos, seeing that gank happen in the mid lane, knew immediately to go over, steal the blue buff, and get some presence into the enemy jungle. So that was very smart by him. But that was exactly the type of situation where we were saying Hanob could have really used a cleanse.
Yeah, and the teleport summoner spell is definitely questionable. Right now, it's taking a lot of damage from Krell, but able to heal up, and unstoppable force burned from Malphite. Right Nut might have actually been able to use the guillotine to pick up a kill there if he had fully committed, but
Yeah, he did ghost, but then he didn't really want to continue going further, even though he probably could have.
And Defile taking a lot from Noob. Right now, he did see, however, that Cynos was able to get vision from his own side of the jungle, meaning that Krell picked up that ward. So maybe he thought that Cynos was still around top side, and that's why Krell was being so aggressive there. So I think it was honestly a smart play for him to not go in, even though, knowing what we know, he could have gotten something.
Yeah, he could have, and I want to see, coming from both teams right now, again, I want to see a lack of focus towards this top lane. I don't know why. There is still so much aggression in the top lane. We can see that right now Faker already has a decent amount of pressure. He needs to be rushing this Black Cleaver as soon as possible.
Noob roaming to the bottom side. He's going to get spotted out by a pink ward. Actually decides to back off, but he's a little caught out now. The Floob coming in. Can they get on?
To get out. Use the blast cone to get out.
Whew! That was a sticky situation for Hanu, but he does escape it. Maybe as Defloob jumps in, does not see Cynos. There's Defiled getting CC'd up. Defloob, you got to be going down. There's the Impale and the kill. Going over to Vigar. Finally, being answered. Flash in with the binding from Marvelous Maven. Wolfie Meister taking so much damage from ex-Soviet. Ult himself, but still goes down. Marvelous Maven might pay the price as Swagnarok is able to flash over the wall from Vigar. Cynos jumping in, and a failed flash actually from the Defile, but the charm still lands onto ex-Soviet, but the burst is not there to follow up. The difficult flash to land, and unfortunately, he just didn't quite get the angle right. But kills finally being answered for Fighting Saints.
Yeah, and then for Skarner, as a Juggernaut, still having so much crowd control, makes him an incredibly useful jungler on a similar level to Sejuani. But at the same time, they both just lack that early game damage to really make a huge committed fight up until the later parts of the game. So as of right now, we are seeing these trades be far more decided by the damage from the mid laners as well as the bot laners. And I'm really happy that most of these kills are going onto the carries. It's just that I want to see a little bit of a harder focus on something that will result in an objective rather than just simply looking for a bit of extra gold.
Yeah, again, a lot of jungle pressure, specifically from Cynos going towards that top side. He's been top a couple times now, even though he hasn't always shown himself.
Yeah, but that immediate pressure towards the river to get to Floob was beautiful, you have to admit.
Very true, very true. Again, I like to see, though, focusing more on the bottom side, get the carries, the kills, and also get that dragon. Really going to help out the Skarner when it comes to roaming around the map and getting those picks that they want.
Yeah, not only that, but since they also have the double teleport composition, it'll make so that they can work side lanes, while denying that Wind Dragon would be the real way to try and compensate for a lack of teleports coming in from St. Olaf. So not only would
all in from Carl the Fourth. He's low on mana, but gets grasped with the Undying onto Right Nut of Faker. Right Nut's also low on mana. Flash in, Ghost in return. Right Nut turns back to fight. It's a wet noodle contest as both of these top laners so low. Krell, if you had a little more mana, that would have been yours, but unfortunately not.
The same way for Right Nut of Faker, who would have had its ultimate.
Very true. And aggressive fighting. This is what we like to see, though, as both of these top laners want to be the one to get that solo kill. Nothing happening topside. This has got to be frustrating.
Yeah, and that's the we're going to be coming in from Krell. That advantage that we were saying he has as a laner, he can easily try and soak up some of this farm now. As Right Now Faker, without a teleport, is just going to simply have to walk back to the lane. Defloob could easily go over and collect that farm, make it so he's sucking off the experience that would be lost otherwise. And it will help him.
That's a level 10 Malphite against a level 8 Defloob. In the meantime, Cynos on the bot side trying to get onto Swagnarok. There is the wild growth, but the ultimate lands. Wolfie Meister doesn't have it for himself now. There's the shield. It's not enough. As Cynos picks up a kill and also gets one for ex-Soviet. Fighting Saints are back in this game.
You know what is really sad?
I'm sure you're about to tell me. Oh, but in the meantime, Defloob jumping over the wall to Krell. That has ultimate available. Will he use it? The pull in from Krell means that the ultimate misses from Sejuani. Can they stop the blast cone? Knocks Krell back. And a really smart play there. Finishing up, unfortunately, not getting the Glacial Prison.
Yeah, and this should be the bot tower, though, going down for the side of the Fighting Saints. So this is actually going to be a big pickup for them, seeing as it should put them ahead in gold. Yeah, only by 300, so not too much. But it's still making them far closer to being even to St. Olaf. And What I was going to mention before is I'm pretty sure that Wild Growth end up actually increasing Ragnarok's hitbox just enough for the Impale to land.
Whew.
Because he was just out of range, and then right after that Wild Growth hits, the Impale hits. Or the Impale connected.
That never feels good when you're like, oh, I know support. I know you're trying to help, but I got this. As Red Buff is gifted over to Exovia, being taken away from the Floob, or more importantly, Swagnarok. St. Olaf, they had that early game lead, and they're still tied in gold, but they're losing some of that map pressure now, as they lost a buff and a turret.
And potentially a dragon right now too, just because they have it where the Scuttle Crab is going to be taken over. They can easily take the Spire that's going to be there in a few seconds. And once Exovia returns to lane, he has a complete Ruinous Hurricane as well as the BF Sword that is equal pressure to Swagnarok with equal items. So they could easily try and pressure this dragon. It's just a matter of whether or not they want to actually commit to it.
And actually, slightly more items coming in with the boots is really important in that matchup against the Twitch to be able to move a little bit faster, because Twitch could just jump on you. So if Exovia's mechanics for Caitlyn are down, might be able to escape in that 1v1 situation, which Caitlyn isn't necessarily known for being good in.
Yeah, and as we can see, a lot of the wars are being focused right around the river, which is most of the entry points for ganks, as well as this dragon control, which you are saying is kind of important right now and needs to be focused. One thing I would want to see is for Exovia to leave this bot lane, make it so we can go collect gold towards the mid lane, and Hub to actually go towards bot instead, make it so we can have that wave clear protect the tower, while Exovia, having far more turret damage, could pressure the next tower right away.
Yeah, no one focusing this dragon still, already 16 minutes in, questioning what the reasons for that are. You want to be able to pick this up early so that you can get those mountain drakes later.
If it's a mountain drake.
If it is.
I could also see an Infernal being incredibly useful to the Veigar as well as the Caitlyn. Infernal will also be amazing for an Ahri and a Twitch composition. It's just a matter of what they truly want to go for. It looks like mostly they are simply respecting each other's power, seeing that they are so close. In fact, gold is completely even right now. The only lane that's really decently ahead is going to be the top lane. Other than that, all gold is essentially equal across the board in all lanes.
Yes, that begs the question, what do these teams do next? They're so even when it comes to gold and experience, but who's going to make the first move, and who's in a position to, as Wolfiemeister trying to get damage on Marvelous Maven. He has the team following him up, but they're a little far away. Swagnarok is finally there. Wild Growth onto himself to get the knock-up. Exovia goes down to Swagnarok, and Wolfiemeister baiting them in and actually using the ultimate in a very aggressive style. I like it.
Yeah, and that was also a double summoner spell burn from Exovia, as well as the flash burn from Marvelous Maven. So that was a huge gain from the side of St. Olaf. They could easily try and push back and get that bot tower if they want to. Another option would be going immediately for this dragon or mid tower. But it looks like instead they're not really going to be trying to capitalize on it too much, to simply accept the kill and walk away with it.
And also
why?
Right after that, we saw Glacial Prison miss Hanoob, who's able to flash away. So it's 3 flashes down on the side of Fighting Saints. This is definitely St. Olaf's time. They got to take this advantage and win this early game now, because we're getting towards that mid game where it's going to slowly get out of their hands.
Yes and no. They still have Swagnarok with a Twitch. They also have
right now a Faker popping Ghost, but the Unstoppable Force lands onto him. Can he get the heals? He doesn't. Krell finally getting some action in the top side.
Yeah, but as we said, trying to focus all your resources in this top lane isn't exactly that useful, because all you're going to be doing is making Krell tankier, which doesn't really add much. As a Malphite, you are still just an alt spot. That's all you are.
Taking a lot of damage. The Ignite picks up the kill as Wolfiemeister and Swagnarok trying to jump onto Maven. The binding lands onto Defiled, but can they get the kill? They don't see Synos there. Exhaust onto Swagnarok, but is it going to be enough? As Defiled flashes the wall, misses the charm, but lands the damage. Flash is blown all around the map as Synos barely able to get away.
Okay, now can they go for Dragon or at least a turret? I would really want to see them get some objective. They're picking up these kills, they're going for the good picks. They just need to get something off of it. And finally, it looks like they're going to be going for the Dragon and having it where right now Faker is actually now going to be controlling the spot side, picking up all that massive amount of farm that is down there, which I really like. That's going to make us so we'll get a massive gold lead. Oh, wait, teleport coming in from Krell. Or
We're
no,
seeing
not
the
teleport
Fighting
coming in.
Saints. They gave away Dragon, but they want to get more for it as Wolfmeister getting caught out. Right now, a Faker is able to pick one up on the backside. However, now it's a 3v3, but Swagnarok just poking from the back. Nobody's on him. A double kill to right now. He still has his ultimate. That's the triple. Can they get more as Soviet jumping onto Defiled might get bursted down himself? Defiled almost has the ultimate available, gets the kill without it.
Alright, and that's going to be all the wave clear down on the side of the Fighting Saints. It should be an easy mid lane turret going down. And if they continue pushing for more, they potentially get tier 2 as well. There is another wave coming in just about 15 seconds. So they should be able to get this, unless they simply want to back off, because Hanub and Synos will be up real soon. One thing I want to see is going to be, as we saw before, keep Right Now Faker towards the top lane now that Dragon is down. Have it where he is keeping pressure around that Baron to make sure that no attempt of a 5-man rush is pulled off by Fighting Saints.
I'm looking a little bit at these builds here. Marvelous Maven, being the only member alive from the side of Fighting Saints, wasn't able to defend the first mid turret. Keeps them off the second one, though. Most of that because there was no wave for St. Olaf. But questioning that the Morgana build, looks like he's trying to get Zonia's, also trying to get Redemption, but not really focusing on one or the other. But in the meantime, Synos on that bot side trying to jump onto Wolfmeister. There's the smite slowing him down, but the wild growth keeps him alive just barely. Ace in the hole doesn't pick it up as Synos doesn't have the Impale to grab the kill, and Wolfmeister lives. And looking a little bit here, seems as if we might have lost Fen, or worse, I might be lost. Could be talking to a
No, I'm here.
Okay. Whew!
Yeah.
You scared me for a bit. I was like, oh no, my computer. But in the meantime, Krell getting destroyed by Right Now to Faker. That's why you take the Ghost on the Darius to chase down those kills. And this is exactly what St. Olaf wants. They're being able to win this early game and not even let it get to the later stages. They're getting the turrets. They finally got the Dragon, but can they keep the momentum going?
Yeah, imagine the best way to try and keep this momentum going is going to be by place or keeping Right Now Faker. Oh,
or
Glacial Prison
engaging
man.
Flu, getting the amazing Glacial Fissure onto so many members. Swagnar picked up a kill. Can he get a second? That's a double. The third kill might be coming through for the Floob, however, as he jumping onto Hanoob. 3 members down, 4 actually, since Krell has yet to come up. And also, I called it Glacial Fissure. It's Glacial Prison. Getting my Braum and my Sejuani ultimates mixed up. But overall, well played from St. Olaf.
Yeah, and this should be a free Dragon coming up. There are 0 wards even around the pits coming in from the side of the Fighting Saints. And Swagnarok right now is just going to be massive. He should be able to pick up Infinity Edge when he goes to back. We can also see that there is so much gold onto Defiled as well as Right Now to Faker. They're just complete monsters, and I'm so happy to see that most of the gold is being focused around these carries, making it so that they are now at a 7,000 gold lead.
Yeah, absolutely massive for St. Olaf. This is what they wanted to do. It took them a while to reach that point. Maybe they didn't have the confidence that they could get these kills and then push these objectives, but now they are not hesitating. They're initiating so well as a team and then immediately following up with that Baron pickup. They're going to reset, but next time they come to lane, they're going to be able to get just more and more for this now.
Yeah, and I'm kind of interested to see how the Fighting Saints are going to be trying to react to this. I feel like the best way is just going to be through trying to keep the wards towards the bottom side of the map, because that's the obvious area where St. Olaf is going to be putting most of their resources, especially with Right Now to Faker. So keep the wards around there to make sure that people aren't going to be roaming to and from mid and bot lane. And then try and stall out this Baron as best you can, going for a pick on potentially Defiled or Swagnarok, because those are the biggest carries, the biggest threats right now. You have to keep an eye on them. But looks like
Oh, teleport coming from Krell, but the Charm is able to stop it. Why are you teleporting so close to an Ahri? You know that's going to happen. Unstoppable Force gets him out, and Ignite from Ahri doesn't quite pick up the kill, but she's going for more. There's the flash. And in the meantime, bot lane turret goes down.
Yeah, with the teleport being down from Krell, that means it's going to be a 4v4 in this bot lane. No one really to stop it, and with how far ahead St. Olaf is, I really don't see them stopping this siege anytime soon. And worse yet, they could potentially be engaged on. They have the Glacial Prison from the Floob ready to go. And there it is
on the Marvelous Maven and ex-Soviet. The damage is following up from Swagnarok, picking up another kill, making him 5-1 and 6. Rightnut doesn't want to give up though. Ghost is popped, jumping onto Hanoob instead of ex-Soviet. Just zoning them off of this turret. That's a second one going down, but Synos does not want it to go down unanswered as he's trying to hop on Defiled, but so much more damage. There's the Impale. The turret's not focusing her though. Waste of an ultimate. You gotta get it with turret aggro, or at least wait for your teammates to come join you.
Yeah,
Defiled,
that really was a waste.
picking up a turret.
Yeah, that really was a big waste. The next best thing to do there would have been the Fracture, just so you can at least stun and pressure Defiled. Other than that, you're just making it so that you're wasting your ultimate, you're giving up the free pressure, and making it so that even more turrets are going to be going down, as well as this Dragon that's going to be up in about 10 seconds, and Defiled already going heavy onto Krell again.
And with no unstoppable force this time, he might be going down. Defiled.
Ooh.
Might not see the rest of the team following up in the shutdown from Hanoob. Unfortunately, that means that they know 4 members are topside. St. Olaf can easily just destroy this dragon, making it their second of the game. And this is that Inferno we were talking about on the Twitch, on the Ahri. This is going to be scary.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely terrifying, especially with the fact that there is so much flat ability power being built onto Defiled that he'll just be doing so much more damage, especially with the Orb of Deception doing true damage now. And I cannot wait to see how well this scaling is going to be able to compete with the Veigar and the Caitlyn.
It's going to be difficult. Again, Caitlyn's slightly more scaling than the Ahri, but will she even survive? She doesn't, as Rightnut's able to pick up that kill. Marvelous Maven flashes the wall. This is another case of Fighting Saints just getting caught out. They didn't have the vision around. They didn't know where the members of St. Olaf were, so they shouldn't have been on that side of the wall.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Caitlyn being slightly better at scaling than an Ahri, but also Swagnarok is one of the hardest scaling AD carries, as well as being great for team fights. Meanwhile, Hanub, being such a heavy scaling mage, is mostly single target damage.
Make it the single heaviest scaling mage. Let's be honest, having technically infinite scaling potential, depending on how late the game goes, but I don't see it going late enough for it to really make an impact here, as you're talking about Swagnarok just being so massive right now.
Yeah, I don't see it lasting too long either for it to reach the late game. However, this stuff can always happen in the MNLCS where one team either throws heavily or just doesn't exactly know how to close out a game. We do see that the Flip is going very defense and support oriented with the Knight's Vow, as well as the Locket of the Iron Solari, making it so that he's going to be keeping Swagnarok alive just that much easier in type of a teamwork environment with Wolfiemeister. And there's the Unstoppable Force.
Only lands onto the Flube. They're trying to get onto Swagnarok. There's the Glacial ultimate, and the damage is returned, but Wolfiemeister goes down as Swagnarok is just standing and auto-attacking so many members, but it's actually going in the favor here of Fighting Saints. They're picking up the kills. Defiled can't quite get in there, but Rightnut's on the backside. Hanoob finally going down. Ex-Soviet's going to be going down as well. Where are his tanks? Where's his peel? Cannot get away from the bleed effect of Rightnut, as Deflube actually picking up that kill. Looked all right for a moment there for the Fighting Saints, but then they just got collapsed on every single side.
Yeah, that's going to be a 2-for-2. However, the 2-for-2 trade ended up being more in the favor of St. Olaf just because they got both the carries. And yet, at the same time, all the waves are crashing to the side of the Fighting Saints, so they will be able to at least try and climb their way back, gain all this farm, while St. Olaf is forced to back off. It's just, St. Olaf is still so far ahead by 10,000 gold right now, which most of that gold is focused again around Defiled and Swagnarok, as well as right now to Faker. The big carries of the team are each ahead of their own respective lanes by roughly 2,000 to 3,000. So I'm not exactly sure what this side of the Fighting Saints could do to climb back from this. The best thing I could see them doing is, again, going for those outnumbered fights as they just did, but then being able to disengage as soon as the collapse begins.
Yeah, and we're seeing maybe another collapse from Fighting Saints. They're trying to get any picks that they can. Synos having his ultimate available, he's got to jump on one of these squishy targets. It's just so difficult. Ahri can jump away from you. Twitch has the Lulu ultimate, making it that much harder to kill him. Things are looking really difficult for the Fighting Saints, but we've seen them come back from worse. And we've also seen St. Olaf with their earlier lead throw it a little bit here. They're getting it back slowly, though. 9K ahead, almost 10K. It's anybody's game at the moment still. Definitely, though, St. Olaf with a huge advantage.
Yeah, with St. Olaf having an advantage this big, honestly, the best thing they can do right now is going to be grouping rather than applying pressure to the side lanes because they need to keep their lead big while they still have it, rather than allowing the Fighting Saints to just slowly climb back. They need to keep defiled with the team. They do not have a teleport to quickly join these fights. We saw that punish them last time, so they need to stay grouped this time around and look for a fight with that Glacial Prison.
Maybe they can land it onto Ex-Soviet and Krell. The ultimate is there, but the team cannot get around the cage thrown down from Vigar. Good zoning. And now they might look to just go for Baron. I mean, St. Olaf, they have the pressure. They can win these 5v5 team fights, most likely, provided that they have ultimates available, though, without that Glacial throw. It's going to be a little difficult, but they still jump onto Krell. Has unstoppable forces, use it to get out or to go back in. He gets pulled in against his will as Right Nut cleans up the kill, but now Wolfiemeister going down to Hanu. That's what we were talking about. Vigar doing so much damage to these squishy targets. Right Nut getting exhausted. There's Synos on the backline trying to get as much damage as he can, but Defiled jumps onto the squishier member. Synos flashing away. Right Nut still with ultimate available. Marvelous Maven's going to be going down. This will be a clean ace for St. Olaf as they look to maybe end the game.
This could be the game. I think the best option right now would honestly be rotating towards the bot turret because it has a much bigger wave that they could easily work with. They could also just go for a double inhibitor take right now, which would be a bit safer bet. Or have Defoob and Right Now to Faker tank the turrets respectively. That way they can take them down without having the minions go. And it looks like that is what they're going to be doing. However, they feel like they have enough minions where they don't need to be tanking the turret just yet.
Although, honestly, it does help. The secret strats of letting your tank...
It's going down.
Yeah, absolutely. As Krell will not be able to defend this. Might lose his life in the meantime. They're just going for the kills. Buff the stats. And this Nexus will be falling soon as Synos and every member of the Fighting Saints are trying to stop it. Unfortunately, you can't. As now we understand what happens when Malphite meets an unstoppable object. Being St. Olaf, getting that victory.
Yeah, and that is going to make it so that St. Olaf are basically cinched for the playoff spot. The only way they could really fall out of it now is if they lose every single game coming up in the future, which I don't see that happening in all honesty. The way that St. Olaf has been playing has been incredibly convincing as to where they recognize that early game is where everything is so important right now in the meta, and they're able to allocate the resources accordingly. They have it where look at the farm that their mid and top laner have. Look at the kills that they were able to pick up early on into the game and the way that they're able to utilize those kills to control the objectives and simply keep the game in their possession.
Yeah, they didn't let it snowball out, or sorry, rather, they didn't let it get to the late stages of the game so that they lost control. They kept the snowball going. There was a small moment where Fighting Saints showed how much they can fight, evening out the gold, getting some turrets, but in the end, St. Olaf was dominant there, especially Right Now to Faker. I got to give him player of the game. Look at that stat line of 10, 1, and 4. So much CS as well. And just the damage that he output as well as tanks is just gross.
It's not even just a stat line. There's one specific moment that I remember from this game that makes Right Now to Faker the MVP to me, and that's going to be that triple kill using the guillotine down by the Dragon Pit. Being able to make it so that the Dragon went towards the side of St. Olaf, as well as gain a massive amount of kills that allowed for a quick turret push, allowed them to get that mid tower immediately, which really started the snowball for their team. And it was mostly due to the presence of Right Now to Faker that allowed that to happen. He got that triple guillotine. He was able to get a massive amount of damage with the Demoxian Knight, or with the Noxian Mites.
Demoxian.
I don't even know what that would be like. You just mix together Demacia and Noxus?
I mean, maybe it's like a Garrett. Maybe he like spins in a circle and then slams it down. You know, like a little puree. Anyway, that will be the end of our game 2 for our evening here. Next up, again, don't go anywhere. We're only halfway through. We got Winona against the Fighting Saints for their second game of the evening. They're just coming off a loss. So how are they going to prepare mentally and physically for this next game against Winona? This one's a little closer in the rankings As with Fighting Saints just losing, they're at a 2-6 record. Winona at a 2-5 record right now. So if the Saints can pick this up, they're still in contention for a playoff spot. So this is another really important win for Fighting Saints. So don't go anywhere. We will be back in around 5 minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome back for Game 3 of Minnesota LCS on this lovely Tuesday evening. If you're joining us from Minnesota, you know it's a brisk 52 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful
actually
weather right now.
very cool out. It's been a beautiful day. I hope you guys were able to go outside while it was sunny out and enjoy the weather. But apparently it's only in the Twin Cities area, as heard by our streamer Mike over in the Duluth area. It's actually a little bit chillier.
Ooh, rough life for our Duluth brethren. But talking a little bit about this game now, we got Winona versus St. Alaska's Fighting Saints for their second game of the evening. They just coming off of a loss against St. Olaf. Doesn't mean anything as of right now, however. They're coming in fresh. They got to come in new, get over that last game that they just played, but also learn from it, figure out what they did wrong, what they need to work on, maybe put more focus on that early game, as we've seen that a focus on the early game has had a lot of correlations to these victories.
Yeah, and from what we saw before, as we mentioned before, Fighting Saints are towards that lower end of the bracket where they're just outside the playoff seed, and it's the same exact thing for Winona. So either of these teams winning will help them get a little bit closer. Right now, if Fighting Saints are to win or Winona wins, they'll be tied up for that 8th or 7th seed spot in the playoff brackets, and it'll be dependent on whether or not they can win the future matches as to whether or not they'll actually make it.
This is a big match for both these teams, as a loss means that if they lose 2 games, they will be out of the playoffs, unfortunately, for both of these teams. Both of them sitting right now at that unfortunate 2-6, or actually rather,
No, they still won't be out. They can still have a small chance.
okay, a small chance, very small.
Yeah, because if Fighting Saints lose this one but win the next 2, they can still come back as long as McAllister loses their next 2.
Very true. Difficult when there are 12 teams in contention for those playoff spots still.
Yeah, I'm surprised that there's still so many ties. Like, there are so many ties in the spots.
Very, very true. That happens a lot, though, when you see teams like Mavericks and Ganked by Gophers being undefeated still in the season.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see those 2 teams actually face it off. But in the meantime, we have to focus on this Winona versus the Fighting Saints game that's going to be coming up real soon. We are only waiting on the last 2 members of Winona to come in here, and then we can get started.
Yeah, picks and bans. It's going to be a little interesting with each of these teams, as Winona, they've opted to play Gangplank a couple times now, sometimes to success, but a lot of times to failure. I'm curious to see if they'll still pull that out, as that is moving towards that kind of carry top lane. But again, it's the late game focus carry top lane.
Yeah.
Is that going to be enough to win right now?
Definitely not, because if the side of Fighting Saints go with something such as a Darius that they lost to last game, or Renekton or Rumble, the very bully type of top laners, not necessarily carry, but bully top laners, they heavily counter Gangplank. But that's if the side of Winona even wants to go for that Gangplank pick. I could also see them going for something a little more aggressive themselves, or maybe something tanky instead, since something like the Gangplank usually doesn't work out for them. And in all honesty, we're still not seeing these tanky picks work out for any of the teams. It's always those aggressive top laners, the Renekton and the Darius in this case for this week, working out far more favorably and essentially carrying their teams.
And honestly, both of those champs not necessarily carry top laners, both more of that bruiser role, but really facilitating the carry position when they're against these tanks. Definitely able to outbully them in lane, get those earlier turrets, get ahead in CS, as well as just affect other areas on the map more. We questioned right now if Faker taking Ghost last game, was able to win him the matchup against Krell. So what is Krell going to do this time? And specifically Hanoob. We saw Hanoob taking teleport on the Vigar. We wanted cleanse. Yeah. We wanted something more defensive. So maybe we'll see that come out.
I still feel like cleanse would have been so much better, because there were so many times they got locked up by the Glacial Prison as well as Charm, and it's just cleanse would have been far more better in that case. It may have been a little mistake, such as a misclick. Don't really know. Other than that, The only thing I'd really want to see from both these teams is an adjustment of pick style, because they're still picking as if this was early season 7 when the split started, but it's no longer that era where tanks and casters were powerful. We're not going to be seeing the Varuses anymore. We're not going to be seeing the Nautiluses and the Maokais anymore. They are simply out of flavor, and things are far more focused on this early game, and that is what teams should be focusing for.
And now we're talking a little bit about these individual players and their play styles, and especially what champions they've chosen to play in the past. Looking specifically at Funky B, the man, the myth, the legend, rising in popularity with our viewers. A lot of people talking a lot of hype about him, but can he show up? He had a breakout game week 1 playing Echo, but since then has not played that champ. Instead, the only other victory they've had with him is on a Victor. He's played a different champion every single game, though, which is something interesting to note. Echo, Talia, Oriana, Ryze, Victor, and Syndra. That's a very large champion pool.
Yes, but at the same time, essentially every single game where he did not get Echo, it was either banned or picked against him. So he has never really had an opportunity to try and pick it up again. So I would like to see what would happen if they were allowed to get the Echo back, or if they could simply try and go for something else here. Because if they avoid banning the Echo and they utilize the blue side that they have in order to first pick it, that could be very good for Funky B, but could also leave something very powerful open up for the other side, depending on what is banned throughout the entire champion select system. Because if Lulu's left open, that would guarantee the Lulu for the side of the Fighting Saints. If Graves or Kazuka left open, it would guarantee them. Although I feel like if Zac is left open, Cynos would much more prefer that. In all honesty, I don't see Zac that threatening, because any type of displacement champion can knock Zac out mid-elastic slingshot, such as Thresh, Janna, even like a really well-timed Lee Sin kick or a Jace knock away. Like anything that displaces can easily knock Zac away.
And talking about displacement, the jungle from Winona opting to take a lot of those kind of initiating junglers, playing Vi, playing Sejuani, playing Hecarim even.
Yeah. Hecarim, I would actually love to see if Zac is picked up, because Hecarim versus Zac matchup is fairly equal, and that's far more skill-oriented, as well as how well you can focus which lanes prioritize ganking, which lanes you set up to counter gank, because both junglers have very equal jungle pressure. They each have equal jungle clear speeds and healthiness. It's just a matter of the execution of the champions, which I would like to see both junglers being able to be on their priority picks. But we're in Champions League now.
It's going to be Zac. Let's see if we can predict every single one correctly. You heard it first from Sir Buttcake.
Actually, this time around, I doubt they'll ban Zac this early.
Could potentially. But again, they want to...
Okay. It's still going to be Zac.
Yeah! They want to save those power picks for later. Again, Cynos not known for playing Graves or Kha'Zix. So, I don't know. Actually, yeah, he has played Kha'Zix a couple times, but again, only when Zac is down. So, maybe a Kha'Zix ban, but I'm curious if we actually will see the Graves.
And there's also the Echo ban. So both of the priority picks from each side are kind of down right now. The next thing that we could possibly see get banned out would be something like a Hecarim. But so, like, for now, on the side of Winona, I could also see them banning something that's a little more tankier, or maybe even something like the Caitlyn, the Morgana, because we see Marvelous Maven on the Morgana so much. It doesn't do a lot for them, though. So I could see them also going with this Lulu ban right now.
Makes a lot of sense. But it also shows that Get Sleep doesn't want to first pick it for the team, opting instead to take it off the table. A lot of people, again, considering it the best support in this current meta.
It could also be prioritizing a different lane to pick first, such as the top lane, which you've been seeing is incredibly impactful right now within these games. They could be prioritizing something such as that Renekton, Darius, or Rumble, that big three for the top lane. There are also some other champions that are pretty aggressive in the top lane right now that we may see come out. We may even see a early pickup, such as we may see the game plan come out again, as we've mentioned before. That is something that we've seen Winona play, not necessarily to success, but they seem to really like it.
Very true. It's a late game focused carry, though. That's the key phrasing here. Late game. Can they get to there? As their final ban is Jax.
Ooh, okay, so that's most likely going to be a focus more towards Krell, which, if they're going to be banning out Jax, it could also be a little hint as to what they plan to play in the top lane, just because if they're going to be banning something that could potentially counter what they're going to pick, then you could use that as a bit of predictor. I'm not too sure what Jax exactly is good against that they would want to pick away from.
Ooh, and Thresh banned from Get Sleeped. His second most played support. Janna also being up there in terms of champions that he's comfortable on.
At least what we've seen. We're not too sure about their out-of-competitive champion pools, but let's see what Winona's going to be picking first. I imagine it will be either a top laner or a jungler, because there's still quite a few on the table from both sides. Not a single top laner was really banned out except for Jax, and there are still plenty of junglers up for grabs, such as the Kazakhs.
Yes, Kazakhs still on the table. That's the biggest thing to note here. Will a team pick up Kazakhs here? As we've seen him tied with Graves as the highest pick ban percentage champ in the tournament so far, but it's not going to continue with this game when both of these players, Peter and Sinos, known for playing tanks.
I'm honestly so tired of seeing the tanks top lane. We are not seeing them used to effectiveness.
But like, it is showing. It is showing that Akhenball is giving up on that gangplank. He's understanding maybe that it's not good. But Galio, the spice, is locked in. Is it going to be top lane?
Could also be mid lane.
Honestly, it can go so many places. Some people still considering it decent enough in the jungle, but again, I don't think it's very great there.
Is early clear is way too bad to really be utilized in the jungle to great effectiveness. And we already see the Nami lock-in, so it's definitely not Galio supports. I prefer Galio support. I love it. Having that engage with the Justice Punch into a... I'm trying to remember what his taunt is called. It's something of Durand.
It has taken me way too long to check those patch notes or to read up on him.
But either way...
Is the Hecarim locked in for Peter? Again, a champion. He's known to play. Ivern hovered. I wanted it. The Ivern AD carry.
Why would it be Ivern AD carry? It'd be Ivern supports. But either way, that is going to be a Jhin locked in, which Jhin is actually going to be extremely safe against this Galio because Galio has a fairly short range, while Jin's range is extremely long. Potentially even a full range if you just utilize the Deadly Flourish with the Curtain Call combination. It looks like they want to try and counter that using a Kog'Maw who has somewhat equal range to Jhin as well as much higher scaling damage.
And what I want to see coming out from the side of Fighting Saints is something that can jump in onto the back line. Sion would be an interesting choice, but I'm looking for something that has a little more range to them because Galio pairs very well with anybody like a Skarner, like somebody that can just run directly at the enemy AD carry, an Olaf, even the Hecarim, which has been taken away from them, but a jungler that can really run around the map so that Galio can follow up with that ultimate.
Well, here's where seeing Sinos pick up the Kazakhs could still be very entertaining because Kazakhs using the invisibility to walk into the middle of the enemy team and then having Galio ult the Kazakhs while he's in the middle would be a perfect sneak type of tactic.
Yeah, but is Sinos confident enough to play Kazakhs? That's the question.
Did you just realize?
What?
Ganon. AD carry.
Oh my...
We haven't gotten an AD carry, everyone!
Somehow I missed it. They're giving me what I wanted. They heard the call last game. They heard the disappointment in my voice. And now they're saying, look,
I don't think everyone's catering to you, you know.
No, it was definitely me. I take full credit for this. And I also take full credit for how much Exo will pop off on this Kennen. Keep in mind, it could still be potentially Kennen in a different lane. Most likely not.
Right now, we can see the Galio, we can see the Sion. They were locked in during the pick phases where they could have easily... If it was going to be a Galio jungle, it would have been Sinos locking him in. If it was going to be a Kennen mid lane, it would have been Hnub locking him in. So it's fairly certain that's going to be a Kennen AD carry, and right now it should be a jungler game picked in for the side of the Fighting Saints. Meanwhile, we can see that Winona has a Nautilus top, a Hecarim jungle, Jhin AD carry, Ahri mid, and a Janna supports, which Janna isn't going to do too great against the composition that Fighting Saints have really built up. At best, it's going to be stopping the initiation from Galio as well as Kennen if you can get a good Monsoon in there, but I don't really see what else is going to be able to be pulled off. Other than that, the main thing I love coming in from the side of the Fighting Saints is going to be simply the raw amount of tankiness that they have in the Scion, Elise, and Galio picks, but they lack actual damage because they went with Kennen 80 carry, and Elise doesn't scale. Neither does Galio. Like, they don't really have anyone that scales. They're essentially a mid-game team.
But that's exactly what we're talking about, has been winning so much and been so dominant. And looking at the Wombo combo that they have the potential to pull off, Kennen Ultimate with Galio Ultimate could be devastating.
Yeah, it could be. I just don't really see it actually being executed, because that would only be if you could get a 5-man Kennen Ultimate, which I don't see it happening in this game, because you have the Nautilus, you have the Hecarim, you have the Jhin, you have the Ahri. They're not likely to be clumped up. Hecarim is a flanker. He's going to be coming in from the sides trying to hit people from behind. You have Jhin, who's going to be sitting back using the Deadly Flourish as well as the Curtain Call to knock people away while being a lane's distance apart. You have the Ahri, who's going to be also flanking or dipping in and out of the fight using the Spirit Rush. And then you have Nautilus, who's the main front line. So it's like,
as well as Janna with that Monsoon, just being able to knock the Kennen away. So I'm not saying it's likely to happen, but if it does, that would be a fun moment. Most likely not against this specific comp. If
the only way I can see it happening,
plays it right.
Yeah, the only way I can see it happen is if they catch it out at something like a Baron or Dragon Pit where everyone is going to be clumped up simply because they're focusing on the objective. Other than that, I do not like this comp. Like, I like the comp from Fighting Saints if they're against another 5-on-5 teamfight comp that wants to sit in a group, but that's not what Winona drafted. So I honestly don't see this composition pulling out to a decent extent.
So is this your official seal of approval then, going over to Winona? They had the better pick and ban phase.
They have better champions, frankly. Nautilus, even though I prefer Scion top lane, I am going to be completely honest here. Nautilus is a better top laner. He has far more crowd control. He has more reliable crowd control that's harder to dodge. Hecarim and Elise, it's about an equal matchup in terms of what the champion actually offers, but that's where it's a skill matchup, and I feel like Peter is a better diver than Synos is. Ahri, as it stands, I think Ahri's a better mid laner than Galio, offers a lot more damage, a lot more wave clear, a lot more control and roam potential. And obviously I'm going to say Jin's a better AD carry than Kennen. Like, there's a reason why Kennen AD carry is rarely ever played.
But with all of that being said, let's just take a moment of appreciation for the creativity coming out for the Fighting Saints here. This is definitely going to be a fun team to watch, playing Galio for the first time, I believe, in Minnesota LCS, as well as the Kennen 80 carry. It's just, they're fun, fresh things that we haven't seen yet. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I still believe that Winona drafted the better team, but I'm not counting out Fighting Saints yet. I think that their team has a lot it can offer that we haven't really realized yet, especially when it comes to pick potential and just every single member having their own form of CC. Yes, it is matched by, again, every member of Winona having CC, but there's a lot they can do. I'm just curious to see what they're able to do with this.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Again, it's based on how the teams play off of it. It's just, I feel like if Winona plays any bit intelligent in the sense that they play the champions how they're supposed to be played, then there's no way that the Fighting Saints are going to be able to pull off what they want with the composition. Because obviously they're a massive Wombo combo composition. They're going to be using the Unstoppable Charge or the Unstoppable Onslaught from Scion in order to get a big engage. They're going to be having Galio and Kennen follow up to try and get a massive team fight started up. But I don't see much happening after that is the big issue. So,
well, what I will give to the Fighting Saints is the fact that they can defend their backline very well with the Galio, with the Nami, that the massive CC that they can do. So it's going to be difficult for Peter to jump on that backline. But overall, you've heard it from us. Let's hear your opinions. Put in the Twitch chat who you think had the better team or who you think is going to win with a hashtag Winona win or a hashtag Fighting Saints win.
Okay, I want to talk about this.
Oh,
Peter
okay.
has a Stoneborn Pact on Hecarim.
Oh, interesting choice. I actually, huh?
Yeah, I'm
I
actually
don't
really
mind
curious
it.
about that.
I don't
I
mind it that
I
much.
do. I'm not a big fan of it.
I mean, it's working on these tanky supports, and if Peter is hoping to just kind of keep his team alive a little longer, I could see it work. I don't like it with Jin, however, because Jin doesn't get the auto attacks as often as you really want for that mastery to be worth it. But it does have its uses.
Yeah, it's still just I'm not a huge fan of it.
All right. Well, now we know what Don feels.
Well, it's because
No, I do understand. I understand your concern with it. I think it does have uses, but not in this specific matchup. We're seeing these teams kind of dance around each other. There's that rainbow Hecarim skin, spitting out rainbows as he runs around. But let's talk a little bit about these players. As I didn't do my sign on, we got on the side of Winona, Achenball 4 top lane, Peter Jungle, Funky B, the crowd favorite in the mid with Fear Fracture and Get Sleep, trying to get their playoff spot secured here with a win, as well as future wins. This is just going to be the beginning of that climb out of the bottom four. Fighting Saints, you already got your intro last. I feel good about that. Now looking at the start here from these players, I'm curious to see where the junglers will choose to go, with Peter starting topside, Sino starting bottom side, both getting the blue early. Does this signal that Peter's going to try to pressure bottom side? Last game we saw an early invade. Actually, game one we saw an early invade of mid, going with a Vi going straight from their red buff into the mid lane. But I don't expect to see anything like that here.
For the blue buff star, it's not going to be because he wants to pressure bot side. It's going to be simply because Hecarim is such a mana-hungry jungler in the early clear that you need to get blue buff early. Otherwise, you're going to run out of mana by the time that you reach your next buff, and that makes it very susceptible to early invades, which Synos on the Elise could easily pull off. So that early blue buff start is going to be incredibly helpful to Peter, as we can see already paying off.
Very true. Getting the quick clears, already picking up those chickens, the raptors. Difficult for a lot of junglers to deal with level 2, but Hecarim is just one of those that you can do that with him and get that early XP lead over the enemy jungle.
Yeah, and there's actually a little neat trick that you can do involving Hecarim with the raptors and also red buff together. I'm not going to go too much in detail because it would take too long to explain. For now, let's take a look at this top lane, actually, that's going for a pretty big trade right now. Just getting a decent level 3 attempt to ult in from Krell. Does not decide to use the Decimate. Instead, just gets a bit of damage out, backs off, and is going to be slowly stacking up that infinite stacking health. And doing whatever he can just to try and poke out Oakenball.
Doing lots of harass to the Nautilus. This is what we were talking about happened with Nautilus against the Renekton in game 1 of the evening. And now taking a similar beating, this time against a Sion, but trades evenly this time.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing about Krell being on that Sion. He is not a huge aggressive early game tank. You should not be going for the early trades unless it's going to be with a Soul Furnace or with your Roar of the Slayer.
But Sinos is up on the top side. Can they bait it? But First Blood actually going to Achenball, making it worth it. First Blood gold gets you a lot
He's actually going to be missing a lot of farm. Meanwhile, Sinos will be able to catch all that farm, get much further ahead than Peter. We can see that he's already level 4, 1 level ahead. Oh, no, never mind. Peter just hit level 4 as well. So
and that's actually going on to Funky B. Out of mana, though. Ignite is down.
What was the point of that Ignite?
It was a show of force. Show of strength. And, hey, get out of my lane. Marvelous Maven taking some damage from Fear Fracture as Peter's roaming down to the bot side. They don't see it. No bubble for defense. Jumps in on the Marvelous Maven. Should have gone on Soviet. As now there are summoner spells available to get them away. They don't have to burn them, though.
Yeah, that's going to be a... Well, no summoner spells really down. It's just that now both Ignites are down for the side of the Fighting Saints, so they won't really be able to go aggressive and get it to pay off. Instead, we're just going to be seeing more of these one-on-one trades in each of the solo lanes. We have it where Krell is finally going to be using the Decimate things. Oh, wow!
Funky B taking damage from Hanoob. Able to flash away, but living with such a small amount of health currently.
If Hanoob saved his Ignite, Funky B would have died.
Very true.
Which, I mean, it's just a small detail. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
I was just going to say, I have slowed down a little bit. I accidentally clicked something I didn't mean to. And now we are back caught up. And I'm seeing this action happening on the top side. Akhenbal taking damage from Synos now.
Yeah, trying to get that kill in does not go through. And that means that they're going to be able to push in this top tower together. I hope that's what they do, because they need to be denying Akhenbal as much farm as possible. He could try and keep it frozen just so that it makes it a little bit safer while he's clearing. But I would prefer seeing a hard shove to guarantee that farm denial, just to make it so that he can cement the lead early on, hit that level 6, and then use the unstoppable onslaught to potentially look mid lane and get a kill for Hanoob.
And now watching this mid lane again, Hanoob showing that he can 1v1 Funky B. Again, I completely agree. Using that Ignite early was a mistake. Losing him the kill under turret, but he's still showing his dominance here, being up in CS. Behind now in the summoner spell. So if Funky B gets a gank or just chooses to try to get that 1v1 again, might be able to get something for it this time.
Yeah, although this time around, we can see that both of the junglers boos are going to be spawning real soon. Neither of them are anywhere closer. You can see that Peter's actually down this bot lane looking for potential gank. And it looks like Fear Fracture is actually going to be trying to auto down ex-Soviet to make it so that the minions will be pushing in towards him.
And here Peter comes. Can he blow a summoner spell this time? Again, jumps onto Soviet. And once again, doesn't quite get anything for it. But heal does go out from ex-Soviet. A little afraid of some long-range damage coming in from Jin.
Yeah, there could always be that level 6 spike that you just simply don't notice. However, Fracture is actually quite a bit of ways until he hits level 6, so there's not much to worry about just yet. We can see the Synos is already going over to clear that blue buff, take it for himself, because Hanoob on the Galio with a Catalyst is not really going to be mana hungry too much. Meanwhile, Elise is a mana hungry champion. You also want that blue buff early on. So I'm glad that he's being a little bit greedier with his early clear, especially with the lead that Hanoob already has. Meanwhile, it looks like Funky B is not going to be taking the blue buff for himself. He's going to be letting it sit there for a little bit.
Yeah, once. So save it for right now, but we'll see if that's worth it.
Top lane.
The jungler top lane, Krell jumping onto Akhenbal. Can he get the damage? Akhenbal's trying to return with some CC. There's the ultimate coming in from Hanoob. Does it get anything for them, though, as Krell barely able to get him low enough that Hanoob cleans up that kill. Gets Sleep getting cut out by Synos, so doesn't have backup. Has the shield, though. Just taking a little bit of damage. Forced to run back to lane.
Yeah, one thing I would like to see, though, is for Synos to recognize that with that gank successfully happening top lane, that means that Peter is mostly going to be either in the top side or the mid side to try and make sure that the tower isn't pressured too heavily. And once he gets spotted, they could easily try and turn towards the dragon and burn it down immediately. Right there, Peter will get spotted the moment he starts a blue buff. He is spotted successfully, which means that Synos has potential to immediately turn onto the dragon. It looks like they may be looking for it, however.
Deadly Flourish lands on the Marvelous Maven, not level 6. Funky B on the backside. There's the charm they needed. Funky B cleaning up a kill, and now Curtain Call might just pick up some more, but actually canceled by Fear Fracture.
Yeah, he didn't really want to waste too much time getting those bullets off when he knows it wouldn't be able to kill anyone. Everyone was full health, and Hanoob was there, who was quite a chunky champion, especially early on. So he wouldn't really be doing anything except for wasting his time near minions towards the bot side. So he wants to go back, collect that farm, make sure he can keep the lead that he has right now. It's not too big. It's only by 1 assist and 7 minions, but any lead is always great for Jin.
And getting that last shot onto ex-Soviet did so much more damage than the single turret shot. A really good trade coming in on the side here for Winona.
He should be able to try and pressure ex-Soviet here just a little bit more to get him out of there.
Oh, Synos missing it just barely.
Ah, that was a little sad to watch. Synos could have easily gone for the big gank right there to go for a kill with
But now he's
Xavier.
getting caught out between Peter and gets sleeped. Does get away though.
Oh, Hanub is down here in the mid lane too right now.
Can he get anything for it? Can Synos land a cocoon? This would be huge.
Nah, he already
not
missed.
having the ultimate though.
He already missed a cocoon, so there's not much to go for right there. It is forcing them back there from trying to gain some of that vision control, and it allows them to go back to their farming safely, and essentially not too much comes of it. The
And
big
looking
thing
at
I
this
really
top
wanna-
lane, Prel not only so far ahead in farm, but now out trading Akhenbal so well. Akhenbal taking so much damage. Here's the ultimate, forced to flash away, but can Krell get the damage in? There's the shield. Doesn't get it. And Akhenbal lives with a sliver of health.
He could potentially try and use the Roar of the Slayer to knock a minion into Akhenbal. I'm just not sure if he'll be able to reach it fully, and he is not able to. However, with the wave crashing into the top turret, that means that he'll probably be burning teleport here to try and get back. And it looks like no, he actually wants to make sure he saves it in case of a dragon attempt. He already knows that he is... Oh, never mind.
There is teleport coming in. He's
Why did
so
he-
far behind in farm, about half. 43 to
Weird though that
82.
he decided to teleport so late. Meanwhile,
Funky B going in onto Exovia. There is the tidal wave, but they don't even care about Marvel's Maven. They want the damage under the 80 carry, which means he's able to flash away, but can the ultimate, the curtain call from Fear Fracture pick up anything for this? Marvelous Maven almost goes down heel, barely saving his life from the potential death by Deathfire touch.
the heal never went off. They didn't use it.
Oh, you are correct. Marvelous Maven healing himself. He can do that as Nami.
Yeah. He has that thing that heals.
The more you
Meanwhile,
know, but in the
Synos-
meantime, Krell on the top side with Synos onto Akhenbal. Ultimate available, but no flash. Can he get away? He got a dredge line onto the wall. Will it get him away? He's able to dodge the CS, but can he dodge the damage from Synos? The answer is no, as he goes down, but buys his team long enough to get the dragon and maybe something else. Marvelous Maven flashing over the wall and a good CC chain coming in from Hanub, but he might die in the meantime. He stops Peter, but taking a lot of damage. Funky B and Fear Fracture failed. Flash means that a kill goes to Fear Fracture.
And with an up down right now, they could easily rotate towards that mid lane turret, try and do a turret rush right now. However, it looks like the top turret will be going down first. That's going to be first blood turret going over to the side of the Defiant Saints. Right now, they have a 1.5k gold lead, which is going to be building up quite nicely for them. As we mentioned before, Krell has a massive lead in this top lane. He's only going to be getting tankier as this game goes on. He already has a Ninja Top. He's going to be building towards that Spear Visage. And once he backs, I imagine he'll be either continuing that or potentially even going for something such as a Sunfire Cave to make it so he can get even higher amounts of wave clear and constantly pressure Akhenbal. However, with that top lane turret down, I want to see Krell transition towards the bot lane and have it where instead Exovia and Marvelous Maven move towards mid lane and Hanub goes to the top lane instead. That way they can keep Krell on this big lead, move Akhenbal away from where the objectives are, because right now Dragon has been taken and won't be back up for another 5 minutes. So really, if they can keep Akhenbal as far away from
getting
objectives
caught
as
out with Krell and Synos on the back line. No flash available, no ult this time either. Can he get away from this dredge line?
Ooh,
Lands on the wall.
Funky
Funky
B.
B for backup.
Alright. Meanwhile, it looks like both bot laners are going to be just right there continuing the little farm fest. They are fairly close. Not too much of a farm discrepancy right now, but there is that 1 kill, 1 assist that's making it so that Fear Fracture is roughly 500 gold ahead. Not too much. Only about a long sword, a few pots.
But something to note here, there is a significant gold lead for the time, at least 1,000 gold lead going over to the Fighting Saints, but it's not necessarily on the member that they want. Krell playing Scion, most of that gold lead's coming from his insane farm lead, but it'd be nice to get some of that gold onto Exoviet, who's going to be most of their damage in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, Exovia will be most of the damage, but you have to remember he's an 80 cannon, and there's a slicing maelstrom.
Fear Fracture. Unfortunately, the TB comes in, zoning off, gets sleeped, but Fear Fracture gets caught out. And this is what you're talking about, send Krell bot. But now it looks like Exoviet and Marvelous Maven are going to continue to push the turret as opposed to rotating mid.
Yeah, it's because of that teleport being used that Akhenbal knew immediately he could try and shove this top lane turret as hard as possible. We have repeaters
Funky
up there
B
as
taking
well.
some damage. The charm lands, canceling this easy end. The level 6 token flashed in the air. Might be a turret going down, and Synos trying to defend against Peter, and Akhenbal actually successfully defends it. But here's the ultimate coming in from Hanub. He's not alone. It's now a 2v2. Akhenbal taking so much damage with Krell on the back line. They can't hope to get anything for this. except for maybe Cynos, who barely escapes with his life.
Yeah, and that's where using both the Galio ultimate as well as the Cyan ultimate really makes it they have map-wide pressure here. They both have incredibly long-range ultimates that can join their allies in any type of fight. However, look in the bot lane. There is nothing to join them now. They are in deep trouble.
Both ultimates gone from the bot lane of Fighting Saints. Get sleeped, actually. The rare Janna kill secure. Never a steal, just a secure. Getting onto Exoviet. In the meantime, Funky Bee is a little too low on mana to take this fight against a noob.
Yeah, Get Sleeps and needing that gold obviously makes sure we can rush the redemption as soon as possible.
It was strategic.
Hey, yeah,
no, planned.
The better that Jonah can keep Jin alive, the more damage he will do. Right?
True. All true points. All valid points. Peter, don't go down to the red buff. Smites it for the health. Never want to pull a double lift. Minnesota LCS.
I doubt that would happen, but the only thing that I'm not really sure about right now is what exactly is this Fighting Saints planning to do in the later stages of the game once all gold is equal out, because they are not really establishing a huge lead. Yes, they're getting a lot of kills, but it's only one more kill than the side of Winona, and they're not really getting too many objectives as of right now. They got one turret, other than that, nothing.
And Funky Bee has the mana. Charm goes a little wide. If it had landed, Hanoob would have been paying it with his life.
Maybe.
Looking a
if
little
you decide to follow up with the Spirit Rush and Ignite, yes. But if he wanted to be a little more conservative and simply throw Hanoob out of lane, then he would have lived, just like we saw right there. And he'll be getting some turret pressure too, which allows Peter to focus more pressure into this top lane, potentially looking for a gank right after this Gromp, but more than likely he'll be backing because he's sitting on a decent amount of gold. He has enough to finish off the Triforce.
And also pretty low on health, but he will get caught out by Krell.
No, not actually caught.
Not going after him. Could have maybe opted for the 1v1. Lockenball not too far away though. And in the bottom side, there's the initiation on to get sleep. Cocoon into
Lockenball.
That's
Cancelled.
2 ultimates gone through. The ultimate was canceled by Lockenball, but Curtain Call is still pulled. Just go for the wave at this point. There we go. Fortunately, Fear Fracture is alone on bot side now, and there's 4 members of the Fighting Saints going
Peter
down here. Peter might be able to save his life if Cocoon goes wide, but the damage is still there. Can they get the taunt out? They're going for Fear Fracture, but Peter's zoning them off, keeping Fear Fracture alive just barely.
Yeah, meanwhile, Exoviet the entire time is focusing on the turret. The smart move, in all honesty, because you don't need to care too much about these kills if you're gaining objectives while doing it.
And Lockenball so low on mana, cannot hope to get away. Might have to burn Flash against Krell the Fourth, who's able to land all this CC and flashes straight, meaning that Krell answers with a Flash auto to secure a kill onto Lockenball.
Yeah, and that also means that Fighting Saints are now going to be completely free to take this Infernal Dragon unless...
with the charm onto Marvelous Maven! Galio coming in from behind Hanoob with an instant ultimate. Taunts from in the bush, lands onto Funky Bee, trying to get the damage, just zone off Peter! And the dragon is secured for the Fighting Saints, but the fight might not be over. Get Sleep popping that ultimate means that a lot of their zoning potential is gone as the Fighting Saints decide to retreat for now.
Yeah, and as they retreat, though, they will be picking up that dragon. They will be picking up another kill and a lot of tower damage onto this top tier 2 turrets. It's just a matter of what they want to do afterwards. They have a Rex of it, has a Blade of the Rune King finish. He is going towards that Rune and Turkey to make it so he can get the AoE damage as well as proccing his W passive a very high amount. It's just, unless if they have enough building full AP, which right now it looks like that's what they're doing. They're having him build very hybrid style. I just still don't really know exactly where they're planning to get most of the damage for these team fights if they do not finish this game soon. However, with the way that they're currently leading, I could see them playing it off.
Yeah, we were talking about they might struggle in later stages of the game. They got to win early, and that's exactly what they're showing that they can do. It slowed down for a little bit, but the action picked right back up, specifically on that play bot lane and then the dragon pickup. It looks like they're getting their head back into the game. They were wandering around for a bit there, but now they're grouping, they're pushing these waves, letting top push in towards them, but in the meantime, pushing out bot. trying to pressure this mid. Not getting much for it, however. And the dredge line lands on the Marvelous Maven. This might be the initiation that they want. And that's a kill going to Akhenball as Funky B almost gets bursted down. Exhaust on Hanu means that he's going to be dying very soon. Fear Fracture securing it. Cynos getting feared back into the enemy team. Hops up into the air, but will he die? Peter getting the shutdown gold onto Cynos. That is a 3-for-0, and Marvelous Maven just too far forward right there.
And that is exactly the type of fight that they wanted. That's going to be securing them the mid tier 1 tower. They could potentially go for tier 2 here as well as a few kills. They might want to get Krell,
but there's the ultimate from X-Soviet. CCing so many members of the enemy team, but he just doesn't have the damage to follow up. He got the 5-man stun we wanted, but does not have damage with only a Scion as backup. Very unfortunate for the side of the Fighting Saints, as they're almost pulling off what they wanted to be able to do, but just not quite.
Yeah, and here's where that AD cannon doesn't really come through as a big damage source until you hit that 3-item spike. Until then, you're really relying on the base damage of your abilities, which isn't that much. So, in all honesty, they should not have really gone for that fight. Yes, they got the Slicing Maelstrom, but it's not going to do damage. You are AD cannon. You scale with AP. So,
and AD cannon, very, like you said, really strong at pushing lanes, sieging turrets if he is solo. But that lack of AP just means that he has to have the team fight there. He has to have follow-up, which is awkward when you have an Elise, Scion, Nami, and a Galio. Yes, Galio, again, going full AP, as we can tell right now. But just not quite enough follow-up that I see coming through here from the Fighting Saints.
Yeah, at least just yet. Especially because most of the members are already dead from that previous little skirmish. They had 3 members down, which most of the members were the big tanks and damage dealers that they had. So, honestly, that was just a bad fight to try and look for from the Fighting Saints. But at the same time, it was a massive opportunity that Winona was able to pull the trigger on and completely take for themselves. Meanwhile, we can see that Krell's shoving up this bot lane, going to be taking for himself, putting a bit of pressure, having it where Fear Fracture is going to be going over to meet him down there. So it's going to be top laner and bot laner kind of meeting each other in the side lanes respectively for each side. I doubt Krell will be able to get this turret just because Fear Fracture is there and he is not going to be able to get dove under this turret just yet.
Yeah, very healthy Jhin. And unfortunately, Krell doesn't really have any damaging items. Has a Sunfire Cape, and actually, Akhenball going down to X-Soviet. You don't want this fight, though, because Cynos is here for backup, picking up a kill. Fighting Saints doing what they can, trying to find these picks when they're available. But now they got to push the objectives. They're losing track of this early stage of the game where they might be stronger, and we're getting towards the mid-game where they're eventually just going to lose all momentum and all steam as Peter's on the backside, trying to get Hanoob, actually gets knocked up by Hanoob, carrying him back into the enemy team, but Funky B was back and said, I don't want to fight. Let me get some gold, but actually lands a charm, lands a damage, but again...
Big thing, though, is that the pressure in this mid lane and bot lane is going to be making it so that X-Soviet can easily get his top turrets. And
flash from Fear Fracture. And Peter rather jumping in onto Cynos. Marvelous maybe taking so much damage from Funky B, who picks up a kill. Not answered on the side of the Fighting Saints. And Funky B not giving up hope. He tried so hard to get Marvelous Maven earlier, but the team didn't quite jump in on it. He finally gets the kill.
Yeah, and that's still going to be a turret going down as the top lane tier 2, which is going to be a massive amount of pressure over for the side of the Fighting Saints. They could easily try and go for this tier 1 mid lane turret. It is incredibly low, and with X-Soviet here now, it should be able to go down because we can see that Funky B and Get Sleeves both back, basically giving up this turret for free. And if the Fighting Saints are smart, they'll reset immediately and get ready for this dragon that's coming up.
Yeah, they're getting that pressure. His game's been like a yo-yo. I mean, first it's up, then it's down, then it's up. And Fighting Saints the entire time just keep trying to find their way back into the game. They get a lead, they lose it. They get a lead, they lose it. Right now, they got that lead back slightly. They're behind by gold, but they have what I would consider the better dragon going into the late game, as well as a turret advantage. So what are they going to do with this now? I like the pressure around Dragon, but unfortunately X-Soviet's back in base. He's not going to be able to join this fight as Winona looks to maybe try to force a fight here. This is what we were talking about, though. This is what Fighting Saints want. They want the entire team of Winona to be grouped around these objectives so that they can land these team fight CC, but instead, Cynos gets caught out, the dredge line lands, and just gets bursted.
Yeah, yes, we said that exactly what Fighting Saints wants is for the side of Winona to be completely grouped up in one small clump, but it doesn't help if you're just going to be caught out before anyone can even make that engage. We had Krell in the side lane as well as Exoviet in the mid lane, nowhere nearby to really join up in a fight in the first place. Should have just given up that dragon. It's only a wind dragon, which doesn't do a whole lot for either side right now because both teams are these kind of flanking team fight style teams.
Hanub trying to jump in onto Akhenball 4 has that AP damage, but Akhenball on the Nautilus with the Spirit Visage and the Merc Shreds just doesn't take that much AP threat right now.
Yeah, real soon he will be taking a little bit more damage as soon as Hanub gets something such as a Void Staff or some bit of penetration. Maybe even an Abyssal Scepter would do wonders just because he has a lot of magic damage coming in from Exoviet, Cynos, and Krell as well on his team. So essentially, an Abyssal Scepter right now would do amazing work.
Yeah, and Funky B constantly trying to catch out Hanub, but Akhenball on the backside. Soviet's trying to get the damage there. Hanub's coming in from the side lane, gets a kill onto Peter. Akhenball's all alone, 1v4. Can't pick it up. Funky B, you're getting caught out. This is what the Fighting Saints need. Flash in from Krell aggressively, but gets sleeped. Monsoon keeps Funky B alive just long enough to get away, but the Fighting Saints keep fighting and finding these picks. They're finding the damage somehow and getting the kills.
Right now, Fighting Saints, you have the perfect opportunity to take Baron. You have Akhenball down, you have Peter down. I don't know why you're just pushing. They have Funky B and Fear Fracture who have a decent amount of wave clear, and you have very few minions here anyways. Look at that. It's an instant clear from Fear Fracture. It's not really a good reason to try and shove this turret. Yes, you'll probably be getting it down, but you're not going to get an inhibitor afterwards. You're just going to be creating an open inhib, and even that...
Peter up with home guards, running in as Hecarim, getting onto Krell the 4th. Krell taking too much damage, goes down. Ex-Soviet as well, getting exhausted, and the turret doesn't even fall. Curtain call pulled, trying to pick off any left members of the Fighting Saints, and they fought the best they could, but they fought a little too hard and for a little too long. Now they're paying the price as Hanub getting caught out. Can't get damage onto anybody and dies to Funky B.
Now Baron. Right?
I could not agree more. I think that was the call Fighting Saints needed to do. You just can't take a turret when there's a Janna to shield it up, and again, the Ahri and Jhin for the wave clear. If Cynos can land a miracle smite steal, maybe, just maybe, Fighting Saints can get something, but get sleeped with his second kill of the game. 2, 1, and 10 on Janna.
Ooh, that is really big right there.
Teleport coming in from Krell. Do they actually want to complete it? He does. In 1v5 in the pit against the enemy team. Has heals from Marvelous Maven, but nothing else. And the chain CC is too much. Why complete the teleport?
Yeah, I want to ask that as well. There are a lot of questions with that entire play from the Fighting Saints. They got 3 kills. One of them was on Peter. They could have easily gone for Baron much earlier. They decided to just push instead.
Funky B jumping onto Ex-Soviet. We can't see it on the screen.
Yeah, Ex-Soviet was able to get away. But it's just so many things I want to ask. There was a bad teleport from Krell. There was the missed call to try and go for a push rather than to simply go for the Baron that was guaranteed. And it's just a completely missed opportunity that threw this game very hard.
Yeah, keep in mind though, Fighting Saints, this is their second game of the evening. Fatigue may be setting in, as it's difficult to make these kind of calls, the correct calls, when you've been playing for about an hour, coming up close to an hour and a half now between the two games. A lot of mental pressure, especially coming off a loss. There's a lot of thought process that goes into this, and I can't credit them enough for at least continuing the fight. They're making calls. They're not the right one, but they're doing it as a team. They're moving together.
Yeah, it's just they really have to remember how much these games count. Both teams are on that little barrier from just entering the little part of the standings to make playoffs. Whichever team wins will make it into that part of the bracket, so they either really have to step up their game, focus far more heavily onto getting the team fights that they want, because they have a perfect team fight composition right now for the stage of the game that they're in. They have that mid-game item build ready to go. They have the double tanks. They have one tank, one AP Galio, who is still pretty dang tanky, and so much engage.
And there's some engage onto Ockenball. Cynos and Exovian on the back line, but Peter jumping in now. Redemption coming down, healing up some, but Cynos goes down. Funky B is unstoppable, shredding the back line and the front line alike. He doesn't care. 3 members down for fight, or 2 members down rather. Shutdown actually. Noob picking up onto Fear Fracture. Overall, a 1-for-4 trade going hugely in the favor of Winona State.
And 1 for 5.
Continuing it up. There's the ace. Funky B picking it up, and this has got to be game. They have the Baron minions. They have the wave pushing, and no members to defend from the Fighting Saints.
Yes, I would like to see Winona go for an end. However, it's only 5 seconds till Cynos is up, and then 10 more for Krell. And right now, they don't have a lot of hard pushing members on their team, so they may not be able to end completely, but they can definitely get these towers down.
Yeah, there's the CC landing onto some members. They do defend the turret, actually. It's something I'd like to point out. I did notice earlier, but Get Sleeped has 18 stacks on Mejai's right now.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even realize that the Mejai's got picked up. That's actually kind of interesting. That's going to be a lot of AD going onto this Jhin, then.
Janna wants that movement speed, you know?
It's not even the movement speed. It's not even the movement speed. Just imagine this. Let me look. Right now, 126 AP. That makes it that you are giving 53 AD to Jhin, which that 53 AD with Jin's passive is going to be converted to somewhere around, like, I don't even know, probably close to 80 or 90 AD right now with the amount of attack speed that he has.
And that 4th crit shot from his clip is going to do a lot as Fighting Saints look to make one last fight. They got to win this, otherwise it's going to be GG. They're jumping onto Funky B. 3 members as Krill tries to tank up the entire backline of Winona. Funky B almost going down. Get Sleep getting his 3rd kill of the game, and things are falling apart for the Fighting Saints. They did the best they could, but they just couldn't burst down Funky B fast enough.
And here is where we see that stage of the game come in, where simply the better later game team comes in.
And the dredge line onto Cynos means that this should be GG. Marvelous Maven can't hope to survive against his onslaught against him. Actually makes it back into the fountain, but with no chance of clearing this wave. This will be game going to Winona. That's 2 losses for the Fighting Saints, and Marvelous Maven, he tried. You got to credit him for going forward there. But Nexus falls. Winona gets their win. And Funky B with an amazing game on Ahri.
Yeah, Funky B did absolutely dominate that game with Ahri. Going, what was the score? 7-1 and 4. Just destroying people. Having an absolute monstrous amount of CS. Having a just crazy score overall. Again, the 7-1-4. I don't even want to look at the damage charts right now. I'm still going to either way. 38,000 damage. 12,000 more than the next highest person in the game, which was Fear Fractured.
This is absolutely silly, seeing what Funky B is able to do, and he's on a champion like this. Echo, Ahri, you gotta get them away from his hands. He's so good on these carry AP mid laners.
Especially the mobile ones. Like the mobile ones where you can roam, Funky B just destroys on them. He's always able to roam. He's pressuring all lanes, and he's able to utilize whatever type of advantage he can get to affect the rest of his team.
So, Don, in your opinion, who should get that player of the game spot?
We were literally just talking about it. It's definitely going over to Funky B. He had an insane amount of damage, insane amount of CS. He did overall excellent at globally pressuring this game, using the ability to roam around on Ahri. And the biggest thing I want to point out is also the fact that Funky B was smart enough to try and capture all the farm and camps as possible to make it where he could get a massive level lead above everyone else, to where he ended the game the highest level at 17, 3 levels higher than Hanub.
Yeah, hard to argue that he does deserve that player of the game. A close second, though, I would give, honestly, to Get Sleeped being 3-1 and 18 on Janna, technically having a tied KDA with Funky B showing up huge, showing that he can not only keep his team alive, but keep himself alive. Something can be difficult as a squishy support. Yes, you're playing against a team comp that wasn't able to jump on the back line necessarily, but I got to credit him for just keeping his team alive long enough to make those flashy plays. But agree, Funky B, good job to get sleep, though.
Yeah, and for get sleeps, I'm just going to also say that the use of monsoons and tornadoes were good enough to where you kept Exovia and Anub away from your front line, stopping those potential engages and making it so that your team could really counter and plan out properly how you want to take the fights into your own hands. So yeah, I would say Good Sleeps would get second place in this time, and I just cannot wait to see how Winona takes the future games.
Exactly. But in the meantime, we're going to have to wait a little bit because our next game is University of Minnesota Duluth Ram Ranch against McAllister. This is McAllister's second game of the evening. They're coming off of a victory against St. Cloud, so they got to be feeling good. Hopefully they've been practicing because Ram Ranch is one of those teams that was tied for that third place position. Now technically St. Olaf has overtaken them because St. Olaf has played one extra game with one extra win, but this is Ram Ranch's chance to prove that, hey, we are going to tie St. Olaf and keep that third place spot in contention. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short break.
Hello everyone, welcome back to game number 4 for the MNLCS. We're going to be having the UMD Ram Ranch versus McAllister. This is going to be McAllister's second game for tonight. Meanwhile, it's UMD Ram Ranch's first and only game for tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams play out right now. McAllister, I believe, is just on the lower end of the bracket in terms of making it to the playoffs, while the Ram Ranch is already towards that middle to higher end, having a score of 5-3.
Yeah, and talking about McAllister, again, they're coming off of a win. They were in that last place position when it came to qualifiers for playoffs. They were at 8th place. Now they're 7th place, so they have a little bit of cushion. Pupper Dogs just behind them. We're doing it right now based on win percentages. So McAllister sitting around a 42.86. That's 3 wins to 4 losses. This could be their 4th win, though, making them our only team to be at a 50% win-loss ratio as of right now. Keep in mind, not everybody has played all their games, so there is some discrepancy going on right now.
Well, they'd be the closest to a 50% win-loss ratio, right next to the Pocket Picks, just because they're not at an even number of games right now. They'd be at an odd number since this is going to be their 9th game. So, unless if they somehow won half the game and
this
lost
would be
McAllister's.
This is McAllister's 8th game here.
So
if
I
they win
thought
this,
you
they're
were
4-4.
saying.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought you were saying for Ram Ranch.
No.
Yeah, no. If McAllister wins, he'll be the only team at 50% win rate.
But again, Ram Ranch wants to win this because they're competing with St. Olaf right now. It's both the Duluth teams of Ram Ranch and Chicken Chasers fighting St. Olaf for that 3rd seed position. Keep in mind, the seeding can affect who they play and make it easier for them in the playoffs. They don't want to necessarily be playing against Mavericks or ganked by Gophers, because those are going to be the harder teams most likely to beat in playoffs. So getting that 3rd place spot will be pretty important for them.
Yeah, completely agree. While they are almost guaranteed into the playoff seed, it's still a big heads tails type of thing as to whether or not they are comfortable with where their seeding would be, as well as whether or not they want to try and attempt any newer strategies in their play.
Yeah, and talking about the Ram Ranch strategy, so far all I can say about them is explosive. Watching their games has always been a lot of fun just because of how willing they are to fight. They're one of the most aggressive teams that I've seen so far in this tournament. Even when they have the likes of like New Jungle, J4 Jungle actually played the past 2 games. So kind of off meta picks when it comes to that position. And opting to not play Graves, Kazakhs, even when they're on the table.
Yeah, and that aggressiveness is something we've seen with both UMD teams, actually, also with the Chicken Chasers, and it's something that I really enjoy having for these games, partially because since I'm color caster, I get to just sit back and let you do all the work while you just cast all the fighting that's going on.
It's a ploy. You paid them off.
I don't pay people. What are you talking about? They get paid if they win.
True. There is that great Envade Gaming prize pool at the end.
As well as the prize pool from all the entrance fees for all the teams.
Very true as well.
Right now we can see that Vlad is actually going to be the first band most likely targeted against no suits. So Vlad being a very powerful mid laner right now, he has it where he can sustain basically any type of aggression that's thrown out to him, as well as having his ultimate, the Hemo Plague, adding a ton of damage during team fights and making it so he's essentially unkillable until you can pick up something with grievous wounds. But even then, he is very hard to take down.
And here the Lulu ban against Catbug. They're respecting the first pick power of Lulu. When she's been left on the table, a lot of times blue side will pick her up. And there's the Kazakhs ban against Hear Me Roar. Now we saw him just play Gragas in his last game. So maybe that's something that he feels comfortable again. Keep in mind that works with the specific team comp that they had.
Yeah, but don't forget that in that last game where he played the Gragas, there was also that Kazakhs and Graves ban as well. So both of those junglers were out. We may also see a potential Graves ban right now. Or I wouldn't be surprised if we also saw something like a Renekton ban or one of those top lane bruisers completely banned out.
Yeah, I'm expecting now. Oh, there's that Renekton. You are right. It's got to be Graves banned against UMD. If that's left on the table, I'd be very surprised.
Oh, especially for Cripple, who is such an aggressive jungler early on. If they do not ban him out, it's just simply going to be, well, an early game jungle domination, unless for some reason Ram Ranch decides not to pick it up for themselves.
I could not imagine a world where they do that, but it is on the table. Will we finally see a Graves picked? Instead, it might be the Ahri. Keep in mind, Ahri, number 1 for mid laners, second place Orianna. Those are the 2 most popular in this tournament. And Graves immediately hovered from Hear Me Roar. They gotta lock it in.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that they decide to prioritize the Ahri over the Graves. I could somewhat imagine that just because Ahri is more mobile and will be able to affect more lanes with that roaming potential in the Spirit Rush, but I feel like overall Graves is just better.
Yeah, definitely. There's a reason why we see him banned so often. But
yeah,
finally we get a nice game with him in there.
Who knows? Maybe Ram Ranch has some special jungle pick that they like to have against him. I do know that one jungler that does fairly well against Graves is Zach, as well as Elise. Just because Elise you can lock down with the cocoon and follow up with a big amount of burst where you can kill Graves before he has any time to do damage back. So that's one way to try and deal with them. I'm not sure if that's something that Cripple would go for. We've also mentioned before that he likes to go with the Jarvan pick.
That off-meta jungle seems to be his comfort kind of zone. He likes to play things that aren't expected. I'd honestly like to see something like an Ivern even come out of him. I feel part of me just wants him to be a good Ivern player. I don't know if he is, but
Ivern is very weak against Graves because Graves is a hard counter jungler and Ivern is very susceptible to counter jungling. So I would not like to see that right now.
And it is J4 locked in for Cripple. This is the 3rd time in a row that we're seeing this champ played from the side of Ram Ranch. Or actually, I don't quite remember what they played last week, but the 2 weeks prior, they played J4.
Last week they played J4 as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and right now we can see that also CapExO is going to be having a karma for himself. I believe that's something we've been seeing our CapExO played a lot. And there's that Orianna you were talking about, one of our most popular mid laners, right next to Ahri. So it's going to be that typical matchup in the mid lane of Ahri versus Orianna, something that in the early game is a bit in Orianna's favor just because she has the slightly higher range of effect. But once level 6 hits, it is definitely in Ahri's favor, using that Spirit Rush to go with the all-in directly onto Orianna. And if it is locked in, I would like to see a favor towards a cleanse to make it so that that charm won't be nearly as impactful, because that's something that a lot of high reload players use specifically to counter Ahri.
Yeah, and again, just this constant Ori versus Ahri matchup. Not gonna lie, getting slightly bored of it, but again, it's a lot of strategy. There's reasons why these 2 champions are picked and why they're so popular in the current meta. But looking at the side now of Ram Ranch, they're missing a tank, and that I think is the key point. We talked about how we don't like seeing those tanks in the top lane as much.
They typically build Cripple as a tank, don't forget.
Very true, but a hard tank is something that they might be missing. Keep in mind, Karma can pretty much make any bruiser a tank just because of the constant shielding she can throw out. But again, initiation might be lacking somewhat. They have Cripple and they have maybe a pick with the charm coming from Ahri, but maybe we'll see another Nautilus this game. It would not surprise me.
I could actually understand.
But it's a Poppy. I like that a little more, actually.
I was going to say Maokai or Poppy because she synergizes really well with Jarvan's ultimate Cataclysm, as well as being able to lock down single targets and stop any dashes that would be coming in. However, the only person that really has a decent dash is going to be Graves. You can also stop the Caliber Net from Caitlyn. Barring that, top lane Karthus, lock it in.
Honestly, this would be a lot of fun to see, specifically against the Poppy. A lot of zoning can be done. Oh, no! Might be instead swapped to the Maokai.
We're going back to week 4.
Hey, it's locked in. The tank will be tank. Hey, you know what? Maybe Snowcane will build Triforce. Get that early tank.
We're not getting a tank, or we're not getting an assassin Poppy.
You know what? Come on. Don't dash my dreams. Bork is so good right now. Just build it on anybody.
But how can I dash your dreams when there's the steadfast presence to block it?
Yeah.
What?
I'm proud of you that you came up with that, but
why do you have to be proud of me? I come up with those all the time. You can shut
But
up.
that one made sense. That one was actually like, okay, that's clever.
Alright.
It was witty.
But either way, with these compositions, we have it where do you want to do your big little countdown, or not countdown, but sign off for who's on what team?
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it. On the side of Ram Ranch. Again, they had that name change. Got a question. What does it mean? I don't know. But
Don't look it up, kids.
Ram
At
Ranch.
home, do not look it up.
Snow Cane in the top lane. Cripple Jungle with Nerf Akali. Please mid lane the double CC bot lane of Cuckarino Catbug. Whereas, again, for their second game of the evening, we have Sunny Jesus top lane with Hear Me Roar Jungle. No suits, ironically, not playing Cassiopeia in the mid lane with then Lacondor
it's no suits, not no boots.
True. And then Lacondor and Formic Knife on the bot side. Now, let's talk a little bit. We mentioned specific champions, how they interact with each other, how we like them. But it's not about the champions, it's about the composition. Who do you think had the better pick and ban phase?
I want to give it over towards the side of McAllister just because I really enjoy the Maokai, Graves, and Oriana picks. Graves, basically, he's pick ban for a reason. And the fact that he actually got through to red side completely astounds me. He got through ban phase, and then he was prioritized underneath Ari. Someone that you could easily pick in second round of the draft phase. And it's just, I don't know why they decided to let it go through for free, but I feel like that's going to really come to bite them later on in this game.
Yeah, you got to think that Ram Ranch consider Graves and Ari to be on the same level, most likely expecting Graves to be banned away from them, hoping that McAllister would take him off the table. But McAllister might have just called their bluff, saying, hey, you have to pick Graves now, and if you don't, we're going to get it. So if you had anything else that you really wanted to pick up, well, now it's ours. And in the end, Graves does go to the red side. Still, I don't agree with it, but there might have been some planning behind it. It might have been strategy.
I really don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just have it where Cripple's far more comfortable on Jarvan and far more confident, so they're just like, you know what, give them Graves, we'll take Jarvan instead. I do not know, because it doesn't make sense to me. But for now, we will be getting into the game in just about 30 seconds. We have where summoner spells are kind of common. We still are not seeing anyone take the cleanse into the Ari matchup, which I am very surprised about, because it is incredibly powerful to deny that all-in potential.
Instead, taking the heal as well. I would have potentially liked to see either the cleanse or maybe even a ghost, something so that Oriana can just move around a little fast, dodge the charm from Ari at the least.
Yeah, no, that would also be really good, would be a ghost, but it's something that's still defensive, a little bit more of a scaling defensive utility. I want to see how well it can be utilized, but I feel like similar to our game with Veigar before, in the Veigar versus Ari matchup, that the lack of a cleanse is really going to affect them.
Now, question, Don, or Fen, if we're being professional. You dabble in German speaking, correct?
Yeah.
Now, I question why you say Veigar, because I'm curious what Twitch chat thinks also. I've always said Veigar, also because I understand it to be a Germanic spelling where the I is enunciated instead of the E if it follows the E. So I'm curious why you say Veigar. Correct us in Twitch, or just vote. Who do you think is correct? Is it Veigar or Veigar? Because, we got a lot of flack week one for saying Winona so much. Let's give Fen some flack here, because I don't think it's Veigar.
I just say Veigar because I think of it in American pronunciation terms rather than German, because last I checked, he's a Yordle, not a German.
Well, last I checked, he does have the Red Baron skin, though.
That doesn't make him German.
But does he have a American flag skin? Haha!
Yeah,
checkmate. Anyway, sorry, I'm just trying to lighten the mood a little bit.
Mean,
it's getting stuffy.
Graves is pretty American, but you don't see him walking around drinking beers and playing football.
Yeah, well, that's
smoke.
because they
Oh,
took.
wait, that's right. He doesn't smoke a cigar anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say they took away the cigar, so you can't even have that. They're
Yeah.
trying to make this game PG. Where's the blood? Where's the gore?
There actually
Where
is
is the
blood in this.
all
There's
in
blood?
level
What are you
1?
talking about? There's plenty of blood. Let's look at Vladimir.
You know what? That's fair.
Yeah.
All good points. But
There's
again, both these
plenty
teams
of blood.
denying me my pleasure of seeing the level 1 invade. It hasn't worked yet today.
Part of
past
it's
3
simply
games
due
we
to the
saw it
risk.
happen.
Both teams have incredibly strong level 1s. They have it where there's the Thresh on one side, there is an Ari and a Karma on the other, as well as an Ezreal, who simply do too much damage early on that you don't want to risk it.
Very
And
true.
we've seen before how hard Snowball affects these games. You do not want to risk something early on that could allow the other side to snowball out of control, especially something as simple as a level 1 invade.
And what's
Yeah.
interesting to note here is Sunny Jesus giving a leash to Hear Me Roar, but onto the red buff. A lot of times when you see Maokai, this happened a lot back when he had better wave clear with his little saplings, but he would throw down a couple saplings on to the Raptors. Just 1 or 2, and then that really helps the clear as the Graves. Plus, then you can go back into your lane, and the enemy team doesn't quite know which side he started on.
Or that's
Instead,
because
getting him red buff.
Part of that's because Graves is much better if he can start with his quick draw early on, and not having his Q for a level 1 clear will make it so that taking the Raptors is still pretty painful, even if you have the saplings there, which saplings still do very little damage early on. And because of Maokai's heavier mana cost, because of the recent changes to his Q, you really don't want to ruin his mana, especially at the early stages of the game.
Yeah, I liked seeing that back when it was a viable option, but makes sense why junglers don't choose to do it anymore. Sunny Jesus, though, showing he did in fact get gold last season, has that victorious Maokai skin. Nice
I
and
mean, we can also
shiny.
see it in the loading screen with the borders.
You know, I might not have been paying attention to that. I like to, but I'm more focused on skins, as this is a duking out in the top lane. Sunny Jesus gets level 3 off of some minions, but doesn't quite get onto Snowcane. Cripple
Ooh.
coming up. Flash might get burned here on the side of the top lane. Woo, barely gets away. McAllister burning the first summoner spell, as no suits now getting damaged a little bit by Nerf College.
Yeah, with the charm landing followed by the Firefox as well as the Overdeception, or Foxfire, not Firefox. So that's a browser, not a damaging spell.
I always thought that Internet Explorer was a better summoner spell, but oh, and the death sentence lands on the Catbug. Flay follows up, but they decide to go straight into the Lacandra.
Ignite!
There's the ignite. Heal comes through. Shield from Formic Nightfall means that maybe Catbug takes the death, but he doesn't. Flashes away. Kakarino forced to flash as well as an early gank from Hear Me Roar. Gets 2 summoner spells, actually all summoner spells from the side of Ram Ranch.
Yeah, but the only summoner spell left up for the side of McAllister is going to be the Flash on the Condor. So that's going to be basically.
But Hear Me Roar is not done. Cripple roaming around. Hear Me Roar at about half health. He can't 1v1 this Jarvan right now.
Both junglers showing up very early to these side lanes, putting a lot of pressure, getting the flash from Sunny Jesus, and then Hear Me Roar coming down, burning all sums down in that bot lane. No kills coming up for either jungler. A little sad to see, but at the same time, so much pressure has been given, so much farm and experience has been denied, that I wouldn't be surprised if we see another game coming up real soon to try and secure a kill now that these flashes are down.
Yeah, and about 5 minutes in, we're not seeing a sizable lead from either team. This is what we like, these nail-biter games where you're not sure who's going to take the early advantage. Sunny Jesus getting some good trades on the Snowcane, but falling behind a little bit in farm. Can he make it up for it? If he can get first blood, maybe get a solo kill, it's definitely going to be worth it. As Nerf please, low on mana, but so is no suits. And now this is not looking great for the bottom side of McAllister, but they're jumping in on a Kakarino. Does not have heal, does not have flash. There is the gank, but it's a failed gank. Kakarino getting first blood, and Formic Nightfall falls as well to Catbug. In the meantime, Sunny Jesus, what happened to your lead? You were doing so well, but you might still get him forced to back off. And now Lacandor, little too far forward and pays the price. 3 quick kills going over to the side of the Ram Ranch.
And that was during a 2v3 fight. The biggest thing that was an issue right there for the side of McAllister is the fact that they did a gank against the minion wave. So where Harry Aurora was tanking that entire minion. There were roughly 6 casters right there. They're going to be doing intense damage and ended up burning them down incredibly fast, which lets the mastery that heals you after a
and now
kill.
they just will not let up. Mid lane might be going down. Doesn't actually die. Really good shield from No Suits. As the Ignite from Nerfakali just barely misses. 2 more ticks and it would have been done.
Yeah, I could also see No Suits going for a quick flash and Q to try and finish off No Suits. But it looks like he's just going to be able to play it a little bit smart, know that Human Roar couldn't be anywhere nearby, and not take the risk. Meanwhile, we can see that Sunny Jesus going for the teleport directly into top lane. He is out-leveled right now and a little too far up.
Still trading decently with Snowcane. Snowcane having Bomby Cinder, whereas Sunny Jesus doesn't quite go for that aggression. Instead of getting cloth armor with the Ruby Crystal and the Doran's Ring, gets a little more mana sustain, which is something that Maokai really struggles with.
Yeah, especially after the changes to his Q and his E, making it so that he doesn't have nearly enough wave clear to do full clears of the wave at level 5, or enough mana to really spam those abilities as much as he wants. Meanwhile, we can see that there's plenty of aggression going onto this bot lane. Now that this Ezreal is 2-0-1, he has the Tear of the Goddess as well as a Sheen finished up for himself, so he will be stacking that Muramana real soon.
Yeah, this is not looking good for the bot lane of McAllister. Kakarino has so much mana sustain as well as just so much damage with that Sheen. They can really just keep the wave pushed into them while still trading blows with the side of McAllister. Snowcane actually taking a lot of damage. Suddenly, Jesus, you have backup coming, but will it get there quick enough? Snowcane able to just walk away. He still has Keeper's Verdict as well. Cormac Nightfall taking a little bit of poke.
Thing though is that No Suits does have the Shockwave, so if they want to commit, they could try and go for a dive and use that Shockwave to finish off Snowcane, who is quite low.
Or at least get some wards deep in the enemy jungle. They don't drop any around blue buff. Don't even check if it's there. That could have been a free blue buff to No Suits.
No, they checked. They hit the Scrying Orb right there, which scanned it.
Question then is why not try to take it? They did see where Cripple was, but still, I feel that could have been a good decision for them, as now Cripple and Nerfakali, please, are going to follow Hear Me Roar towards his blue buff and maybe get it. Both jump over the wall. Hear Me Roar jumping away. Catbug is there to follow up, and the death is sealed. Hear Me Roar not able to get away.
Yeah, I really don't know what was with that rotation. He is down a level, had an easy opportunity to try and steal the blue buff, did not go for it, and ended up giving up his own as well as his life completely for free. No type of retaliation. Meanwhile, it looks like Snow can be going down in this top lane.
And Sunny Jesus playing Maokai and still winning lane against the Poppy. He's a little behind in farm still, but showing that he can still win these trades. And if eventually he can get a solo kill, then maybe he'll be able to rotate around the map, get some more pressure in that top. He won't have TP up as early, and a missed Death Sentence onto Kakarino. Missed Flay for McNightfall. Struggling a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, you guys all know that I'm a Thresh main, and I am just so sad to see those misses, especially on Ezreal, who's standing completely still. Meanwhile, he is trying to get those.
He does still have Lantern available, though, and Hear Me Roar is nearby. If he lands a Death Sentence, it misses again. Misread where Kakarino was walking, taking too much damage. Trying to get in for that Flay because he knows that Hear Me Roar is there, but he's in danger of dying now. Forced to back, but actually stays as Hear Me Roar, spending so much time waiting for this gank, actually gets caught out by Nerfakali. Please, there was a ward in that bush the whole time. Catbug flashing over. Kakarino's there as well. They pick up their 5th kill of the game. Cripple, are they going to dive the turret? There's the Lantern. Can he make it to there? He does. Cormac Nightfall is going to be going down, though. Ignite is ticking. No heal available. Was thrown out, but the Ignite just stopping so much of it. Grievous Wounds does a lot to the Summoner Spell heal, and that's a 6th kill going over to the side of Ram Ranch.
Yeah, as well as a...
Oh, and it's going to be another one as Nerfakali, please. will not leave the bottom side. Now no suits might be getting cut out, trying to put pressure around Dragon. And might be dying in the meantime. Flash from Nerfakali, please, misses the charm though. Sunny Jesus trying to get onto Snowcane as every member is chasing on to the mid lane. No suits. Double flash away from each other from Sunny Jesus. Don't know why Snowcane felt the need to flash as Sunny Jesus flashed away from him. Oh, there he goes. Back in as Sunny Jesus picks up the kill. Whew, finally.
First kill over for the side of McAllister.
Oh, there's the death sentence on the Kakarino. Ignite is in, stopping so much of the heal. They return it just as they took it, and that's heal and flash both down for Kakarino.
That's where I'm a little curious as to why Kakarino felt the need to Arcane Shift into the Thresh. I mean, he had Death Sentence running up.
Oh,
and he just shifted into a straight line. I
almost thought that was going to land onto Nerfakali, please. I don't think he would have wanted to take it, even if it had.
It was under tower. There's no way you'd want to take that. That would have been a terrible idea.
If no suits had Shockwave, maybe they could have worked it out, but I do agree. Would have been cool to see him land it, though.
Yeah, it would have been neat to see him land because it would be stopping the back, which would have been a little funny. It's always fun to see someone trying to back when they have a lot of gold and you're just simply delaying it every second because it's kind of tilting to happen to you if you've never had that experience.
I experience that every game because clearly I get fed all the time.
As a support main?
Oh, Grave support, man. I'm telling you, it's a thing.
No Grave support for you. I'd prefer Aatrox support over Grave supports.
Honestly, that's fun too. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But Snowcane doing a good job if you notice. Playing incredibly smart, trying to deny Sunny Jesus from getting farm. He's missed out that entire wave there. He missed all 3 melee minions as well as the siege minion. Because Snowcane just kept pushing him away, kept pressuring him right as he was about to auto attack. So he kept canceling those autos. And now Kakarino might be getting caught out. Still no summoner spells available. Ultimate from Formic Nightfall lands. Kakarino tries to get damage onto Lakondor. There is a death sentence. And Ace in the hole barely makes it through, but it's not enough because of Catbug's shields. Hear Me Roar, meanwhile, on the top side. Can they get anything here with Snowcane? Oh, the CC stops Keeper's Verdict. They're trying to get the damage. Snowcane trying to get out. Might just make it. Doesn't quite. Cripple going back in onto Sunny Jesus, making it a 1-for-1 trade. As Hear Me Roar just does not have the mana to continue that fight.
Yeah, both junglers end up getting the kills right there. They're going to be continuing pushing in these top waves against each other. Essentially,
Triple hat.
The Cataclysm, that would have been a bad fight to take. Graves that up close, you do not want to 1v1.
Although, keep in mind, doesn't have his smite available. Although he didn't opt for actually taking instead the Tracker's Knife. Didn't even notice that for Graves, but with no ultimate available, he does significantly less damage, but no suits, unfortunately, doesn't either. Flashes under turret, ignites ticking, can't quite get away. There's the Foxfire. Cleaning up kill for Nerf Akali, please.
I'm pretty sure it's called Google Chrome.
As Cripple jumping onto Formic Nightfall. Death Sentence misses again.
Alright, and we can see that Humidor is going to be trying to clean up this mid lane. No, actually just going into his jungle. Kind of curious why, because this mid lane turret's going to be under a lot of pressure. Here he comes. Now that he recognizes that there's actually some pressure on that turret. He was walking a little bit away from it, and he's actually being caught out.
There's the dive coming in from Cripple. Solo on mana, but flash away from Hear Me Roar. Ace in the hole. Gets up from that Karma. This is what we're talking about. Karma basically makes any champion that builds slightly tanky a full-on tank, as Cripple hasn't even gone for that yet. Instead of getting Warrior's jungle item, I expect to see him getting at least Ninja Tab item.
Yeah, he's also going for the Skirmisher Saber just to make it so that he can deal a bit of true damage to this Maokai, who will more than likely be armor stacking. And eventually we'll be able to see it, where if he goes for something such as a Black Cleaver, he'll be enabling Kakarino to just do that much more damage. My guess it's either going to be a Titanic Hydra or a Black Cleaver coming up next.
Yeah, both of those offering lots of health stats, which can definitely help survivability. Kakarino on the top side, getting caught out a little bit by Burning Jesus, but can Burning Jesus actually take this 1v1 fight? He wants it, getting really good trade onto Kakarino, but understanding that he still needs to defend the turret. Pick up this farm, it's more important, because he doesn't actually have the ability to kill this Ezreal, at least not fast enough.
I mean, right now, it's a level 9 Ezreal versus a level 11 Maokai with Sunfire Cape. But I actually see him doing a 1v1, even though, yes, Kakarino's fed, in a true 1v1. I believe Sunny Jesus would win. It's just that Kappa XO is nearby, and there is that ward C in it. So there's no way he'd want to go for a 2v1.
As well as the kite ability from Ezreal. Ezreal could just run away, get under his own turret, and then Sunny Jesus doesn't really get much for it, but loses a lot of farm that was hitting his own turret. These are the kinds of decisions that you have to make. You got to play smart. Oh, that never feels good. The Scuttle Crab secured by No Suits.
Yeah, worked so hard for it, only for it to get stolen away by the enemy. It's even worse when it's about to be for an objective such as the dragon that's going to be coming up in just a few minutes. It's going to be a cloud dragon.
Oh, Nerf, please catching out. Hear Me Roar getting such a huge burst. The charm just barely clipping as Formic Nightfall lands the hook, lands a flay on a cat bug, but taking so much damage from Kakarino. Heal goes out. Again, the ignite was on him, barely not taking his life. Heal
now,
just doing enough.
Thanks to the catch from Nerf, please. It's going to be making it so that Cripple can get this dragon basically for free.
Oh, but No Suits getting onto Catbug. Using the entirety of the ultimate on one member means that Kakarino might be able to get away. Flash available. There's no way he's going to die here, right? But the side of McAllister...
Oh, no, he's caught out.
He is caught out. Here's Snowkin, however, on the backside. Teleport completed. Goes in onto No Suits. There's the flash, but heal. That's the second of this side of McAllister. So much healing. That's a kill for No Suits. Picking up the second. Snowcane's caught between two different members. Can No Suits get away? Does not.
Ooh, what about Lakondor being caught up by Cripple?
Cripple jumping in there. Hear Me Roar can't help him as Cripple takes that kill. Death Sentence lands flaying and back into Hear Me Roar. Can the damage go out? There's the red buff, but actually, it was the ignite from Formic Nightfall and kills all around. Nerfacoli, please, being able to flash away. Barely makes it out. Charm lands on the Sunny Jesus, but still gets the kill. And a huge team fight that was a little staggered there. It started off as a pick on the Kakarino, even after Hear Me Roar got picked, but in the end, Hear Me Roar got back up, made it back to top lane, and just prolonged that fight for so long.
Yeah, that ended up being a massive pick in extended fights, where it actually began with a little bit of a trade in the top lane as Kappa XO was pulled underneath tower by Formic Nightfall. And the extended trade lasted for roughly a whole minute and a half because there was enough time for Cripple to take the Cloud Dragon, walk all the way up to top lane, finish off Condor, and for an extended fight to happen after that.
Yeah, and again, Sunny Jesus rather, and Snowcane. Burning because he's on fire right now, going all in onto the Poppy. Can you stop the shield? Doesn't quite land it, as now Cripple and Catbug are here as backup. Sunny Jesus, no flash available, can't hope to jump in onto Snowcane. Gotta buy as much time as possible, and dies in the meantime. Almost getting that burst onto Snowcane, but the shield barely keeping Poppy alive.
Yeah, in terms of items, we can see right now that it looks like Cripple's going to be going for that Black Cleaver, as we mentioned before. Same thing with Hear Me Roar, but the Shockwave!
No Shockwave lands, means that Cripple can't actually get over to his flag. There's the flash! Flay, No Suits picking up that kill, but Nerfacoli, please, does not want it to go unanswered. Redemption coming down, keeping him safe, as Hear Me Roar and Lakondor both roam up here. I believe that ward went away before they saw Lakondor show, but now they do see Caitlyn has joined the fight. And they're not going to be able to see just turret, but the bot lane is undefended. Will Sunny Jesus teleport down? Does not look as if he will. Kakarino might be getting a free turret bot side. Does secure it. That was a huge wave he had with him.
Yeah, with that turret going down, that means that he's going to be allowing his team to just get a tiny bit more of a lead. Right now, they're actually at 6,000 gold lead. And overall, each side is just kind of scaling up in their own ways. The biggest downfall right now for McAllister is going to be Hear Me Roar. However, Lake Condor may be going down real soon. Spirit Rush will be soon, or will be up soon on Nerfacoli. Please, let's see if they try and utilize that to go for a dive right here with Kappa XO.
Again, the shielding from Karma means that they can tank a lot of this turret, but the death sentence lands. Ignite was up again, picking up the kill as Nerf Akali Please secures the second one. Now this top turret looks to go down.
Yeah, we have Hear Me Roar trying to go up there. No Suits was nearby, but decides to simply let it go instead. Put his sights towards the mid lane. Maybe going for this turret. However, Rhino is there to defend. We have it where it's Sunny Jesus as well as No Suits here together. They could try and go for a Twisting Maelstrom? Or what's it? Twisting Advance, I think.
There you go.
Yeah, Twisted Advance onto Rhino, followed up by a Shockwave. And instead,
here it is on the Snow Cane. That's a very tanky Poppy, though. Ooh, good dodge from Hear Me Roar. So Heroic Charge does not clip the wall.
Yeah, if that lineup could have been a really quick knockup from Cripple, potentially also a Cataclysm to make so that he would be completely locked in. However, with the time that they have right now on their side, they could easily ward up the bottom half jungle, get ready for this next dragon, which is going to be another mountain dragon, which 2 mountain dragons onto an Ahri, a Poppy, and an Ezreal is going to mean complete decimation of any Barons. And even towers if they're able to reach any, which so far, with the amount of damage and success that they've been having in team fights, it should not be too hard for them to be able to reach a tower after a quick skirmish.
And this is the second game that we've seen now of Caitlyn wanting to get these dragons. A team very reliant on her ability to take towers quickly. Yes, they do have a pretty well-rounded comp when it comes to team fighting as well, getting picks, but Caitlyn with Mountain Drakes is so scary to deal with, but does not seem as if McAllister's in a position to contest this next one.
Yeah, right now they haven't been able to get any of the dragons, actually, nor any towers. They still have yet to pick up a single
and
one
now
compared to...
might be getting cut out by Nerf Akali, please. The charm lands. The damage is there from Rhino. That is now the 4th time Hear Me Roar has gotten caught out by Nerf Akali, please.
Yeah, and his death timer is going to be long enough that they could potentially even go for this Baron. They already have 1 mountain dragon, so it will be a decent amount of damage. They just need to clear the wards that are all around. There is 1 ward in the pit, and they do have the sweeper up to try and check it.
Yeah,
oh, they're actually going to be using the sweeper.
They're deciding to start, but they don't see that ward there, meaning that McAllister can respond.
However, Hear Me Roar is still down.
They have no smite to go for the 50-50. They got to go for some kind of team fight as the enemy team, Ram Ranch, decided to go in. Cripple gets a kill on the No Suits, gets another for Snowcan onto Lakanda. Sunny Jesus getting caught out now as 3 members turn to him with 4 McNightfall getting bursted down by the backline. 4 members down for McAllister. Now the question is, do Ram Ranch turn to Baron or do they pressure this mid turret now?
Honestly, right now, because they have all of the wave cleared down from the side of McAllister, the best option is going for the turrets, just because it's the best opportunity to do it. They could easily get the inhibitor turret right now. Not necessarily the inhibitor, but with the inhibitor turret down, it's going to be an open nexus, or not open nexus, an open inhib, which then you can focus your sights onto the mountain dragon and let the wave...
Hear Me Roar actually getting engaged on, forced to use the ultimate and flash to get away. And there he goes down again. Another charm lands, followed by Rhino. Just happened a few moments ago. Snow can get onto the back line. Charms just cannot miss as Nerf Akali, please. More like Nerf Ahri, please. Doing so much for the team. Sunny Jesus now trying to get onto the back line. Can't quite get there. Taking so as much as he can. But they just can't find the kills as True Shot Barrage doesn't aim true today.
Yeah, they could easily turn their sights towards this dragon if they want to burn it down. They do have it where the shockwave is gone. The ace in the hole is still there, but as we mentioned before, Kappa XO could easily use a shield just to block its damage and mitigate it. And if they're able to pick up this second mountain dragon.
Drag will be going down. No contest from the side of McAllister with no vision for them to tell where the enemy team is. Things are not going well for McAllister, but you got to give credit to Ram Ranch, making the correct decisions, winning these team fights, and then getting the objectives immediately after.
Yeah, I was surprised that they were actually able to continue pushing and pressure for that inhibitor. I figured that with all the members respawning and them being kind of low and sort of overstaying their welcome, that they would have wanted to back off and reset, but instead they were able to still pull off that fight completely, pick off Hear Me Roar immediately with that charm, which honestly, I already know who's going to be getting the MVP after this game if it ends real soon. And I think you know too, but however, let's save that for the post-game discussion, because right now it looks like both teams are going to be trying to pressure a bit of the side lanes as well as get some vision set up around this Baron. We have the pink wards coming out by Formic Nightfall, as well as the Scuttlecrab being taken down by Nerfakali, please.
And that's one of those things. It's a small thing, but I think you as a Thresh player would appreciate it. Using Lantern to get Lakondor closer to Baron Pit when you knew that the enemy team wasn't on Baron. That Lantern at this stage in the game, yes, it's not that long of a cooldown, but you want to keep it up and use it exclusively to get your squishies away from the enemy team. It's not really worth it as a tool right now to get your AD carry closer to the enemy. Just a small thing, but I think it's worth noting when you're making these micro plays, they do have big impacts and they can cause team fights to go really wrong. As Hear Me Roar gets caught out once again, and Graves is left on the table, but is also left wanting in terms of stats, not affecting this game at all how we expected the Graves to.
Yeah, he had the good pick, just not nearly the good execution. He has a very questionable item build, going from Warrior to Black Cleaver to Hex Drinker, going a very Bruiser style instead of the full damage heavy Graves that we would see in many other games.
Well, honestly, I don't mind the Black Cleaver. I personally believe the Black Cleaver is the better pick. What I question is the Tracker's Knife. I think challenging Warrior would have been a little better, and especially the Hex Drinker. I think that's just an answer to, I mean, honestly, it's the Ahri. It's him accepting, look, I can't fight. I just got to try to survive as long as possible, and clearly it's still not working.
As, like, we can see right now, he's going to be going down in just a second.
One more time. Rinse, wash, repeat. Nerf Akali, please. This is just getting out of hand.
Yeah, and this game should be going over soon. We have it where 2 inhibitors are down on the side of McAllister. They will be rotating down towards the bot lane right after they reset to get that final inhibitor, unless they just simply want to push down mid and try and end it in one big team fight. Right now, I do not really see how McAllister could even turn this around. They are down by 1.5k gold, and the only decent damage dealer they have on their team that could make an impact would be Lakondor or No Suits. But they are so squishy that Cripple or Snowking can just ignore the damage they deal and jump directly on top of them, dealing immense amounts of base damage. And then you have Kakarino and Nerfakali Please following up with that AoE damage from either the True Shot Barrage, the Orb Deception, or, I mean, what have you. It's just not something they can really deal with at this point in the game. This is where we were talking about. Right now the meta calls for Snowball. Snowball is exactly what Ram Ranch brought to the table, and they were able to showcase it.
Yeah, now the last turret is falling when it comes to inhib turrets. Hear Me Roar getting bursted down again. This has got to be game. As Formic Nightfall forced to flash away. No Suits, that's the damage. All left from the team. One member standing, no member standing. A clean ace for Ram Ranch. No inhibitors up. Baron minions pushing in. This has got to be game. They're taking down the Nexus turrets and taking down McAllister's hopes of staying in a safe spot. Now McAllister forced again going into these final weeks to fight for their position in playoffs. But Ram Ranch asserting themselves as deserving that third place spot.
Yeah, and as long as they can continue winning, they'll be holding their place right there. And I'm excited to see how all of this will end up in terms of the bracket standings. Meanwhile, as we said, I think you and me both already know who is going to be getting the MVP for this game.
Oh, it's Catbug, right?
No. We both know it definitely belongs to Nerfakali. Please, that was an astounding performance on the Ahri, having it where he can utilize his charm in the Spirit Rush to catch out whoever he wanted. Namely, Hear Me Roar, what was it, 5 times?
7. There were, I was counting. 7 times Hear Me Roar got hit. 3 of them, Kakarino was there to pick up the kill, but the other 4 times, Nerfakali Please was all that was needed to take down Hear Me Roar. That's why we saw the Hex Drinker coming out of him, but it still wasn't enough. Hex Drinker is all right, but needed those Merc Treads if you're trying to counter that specifically. So definitely questioning the build. I feel like Hear Me Roar, maybe he felt the pressure, saying, oh, Graves is on the table. We have to take it because we can't let Cripple get it. But maybe he's not comfortable on the champ. Maybe he wasn't comfortable into the matchup of the Akali. But either way, they should have banned it out. Sorry, right, the Ahri. They should have banned out Graves if they didn't feel comfortable to play it.
Yeah, and just taking a look at the damage charts, we can actually see that Hear Me Roar end up doing just about the same amount of damage as Formic Nightfall, and actually less damage than Catbug XO and every single other person in this game, leaving about 5,000 damage to champions.
I think dominant is the term that I keep thinking when looking at Nerfakali Please. Although what I will say is he was fed kills in a way from Hear Me Roar. If Hear Me Roar had a better game, I'm not sure if Nerfakali Please was necessarily popping off or Hear Me Roar was just constantly making mistakes. But still, Nerfakali Please was able to capitalize on those mistakes, showing me that he was playing very well today. Looking a little bit at the farm, though, I am impressed. Sunny Jesus and No Suits were able to actually have the most farm in the game. And especially Sunny Jesus being able to 1v1 the Poppy. He wasn't doing as much in those team fights, but looking at his scoreline, you can tell that he wasn't necessarily the issue with why the team lost, especially watching the game. His rotations were all right. His teleports, there were a couple that were really good and really well timed, but in the end, it's just there's only so much you can do when your jungler and your bot lane are so far behind.
Yeah, and honestly, there are so many factors that go into that. Some of it, as you mentioned, it could have been Hear Me Roar misplaying a lot and giving those kills over to Nerfakali Please basically for free. But part of it was also due to the great positioning of Nerfakali Please to be there to catch him out at the right time. They had the boarding from Catbug XO and Cripple working together for it, as well as the general idea of, such as when we saw the Baron attempt. We knew that, Nerfakali Please knew that Hear Me Roar would come by, try to maybe steal it, using the collateral damage as well as a smite, but he was right there, waiting in the brush, and got the charm off immediately when Hear Me Roar showed up in his vision.
Yeah, and in the end, it is a game going over to Ram Ranch. That is our final game of the evening for this Tuesday broadcast of Minnesota LCS, but don't forget, this next Thursday, we have another one. This is the end of week 9. We only have 2 more after this. So every single one of these games going forward is going to be very important for these bottom 4 teams, or bottom 4 teams that are fighting for that playoff position. Now looking at next week, we have McAllister. They just won a game, lost a game today, but they got to prove themselves against the College at St. Scholastica Pupper Dogs for our first game on Thursday. Then Chicken Chasers against Mankato State Mavericks. Then Ganked by Gophers playing 2 games in a row against St. Cloud and Winona. So stick around for that. And for now, I have been Sir Buttkick Kangas as your play-by-play caster, followed by the lovely Fen on color casting. Anything you want to give to the fans for right now?
Biggest thing is just going to be the fact that, got to remember, our biggest sponsor is Invade, bringing you some of the best apparel in the Minnesota area. Remember to check them out on Facebook. And also don't forget to check out the MNLCS on Facebook, at MNLCS, as well as on Twitter, to follow up with some of the biggest highlights from the games, any of them that you have missed. And just don't forget to represent your schools, pass it along, make it so that we can get to be a big organization, hopefully bring you a much better stream in the future.
Very true. And don't forget, again, to follow on social media, Twitter and Facebook, MNLCS. Follow me on Twitter at MNSirButtkick, at FenFenCast. And you'll get all of your updates on the casting schedule, the team schedule, as well as any changes to MNLCS if you want to keep up with those as well. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you on Thursday.